Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. My name is Crowan, and join me is Boopasaurus as we take you into more Set 6, this time on a new patch, 11.23. How are you doing,
I
Boop?
am doing all right. I'm going to go ahead and warn everybody. I don't know what is going on with my nose. Some allergy situations happening. I've sneezed probably 300 times. But I'm here because I love TFT and I cannot wait to see what this new patch brings because we got the chance to cast last weekend and
Oh,
maybe we'll
yeah.
get to see totally different scenarios today.
Yeah, that's true. We got to cast the Piltover Cup. We saw, 8 great TFT players only qualify for the mid-set finale, but also the Zon Cup, or 4 for the mid-set finale, 8 for the Zon Cup. And yeah, just a lot of great TFT action. But let's just kick things off and introduce the players that we will be seeing here tonight. We have NYU Gaming, who won last week. Also, Sphinx and A-Rat top 3. We have Lat AM's finest. We'll kind of put that to the test today. And then we have Robovan, Darth Nub, Red Nightmare, and Koala Little, who is returning, I believe. Koala really, I think, impressed the last time they were here. So see if they can, keep that up.
Uh, but to remind everybody, the last time they were here, they one-tricked Nocturne, I
That is
believe, the
true.
entire time. So we haven't seen any assassins whatsoever in competitive play over the last week. So maybe we'll find some today based off of preferences.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of it's a new patch, right? So it's really open. People are still discovering what's going to be good. This patch by no means is solved. Last patch honestly wasn't either. Before we get too bogged down by patch stuff, let's go ahead and, let's set the stakes here. And it's going to be the rising prize pool. These players are not only competing for their share of it, but competing to return next week. First place earns 100, second place earns 50, third and fourth will earn $25 apiece. In return next week, you need to secure top 3. Fourth place will earn some money, will not get you back there. But while we wait for the game, Boop, about the meta, and I mean, we saw a lot of variety, I would say, during the Piltover Cup, but it wasn't necessarily very popular to go for everything. The most popular things were Urgot Jinx. You saw Yone, even saw a little bit of like Lux and Arcanist. Actually, I think Ramblin, one of the players who got first place amongst one of those final day lobbies, was pretty outspoken about, AP is not really contested right now. You can just take AP routes and do really well with them. And I think there might even be some more priority on that kind of strategy tonight, now that things like Urgot and like Yone have been nerfed. So we'll see.
Well, and I think we actually need to mention that when the mutant synergy was
True.
desirable, I mean, like we had a lobby where half of the lobby went mutant. That lobby and was successful, as I believe maybe even 2 of them made top 4 that time, with
Hmm.
Malzahar and Kog'Maw and Dr. Mundo all kind of having their time in the spotlight, particularly with things like the Dark Star trait. So
Yeah.
mutant might still be on the menu, and what I'm again looking forward to today, are we going to see a little bit more investment into AP trees because of Ramblin specifically this weekend, or are we
Yeah.
going to see any more assassins as well? Because we didn't get to really see Yordles, 6 Yordles, we didn't really get to see 6 assassins at all. And with Samira kind of coming out of the meta based on some of these changes, maybe these Imperials might show up less often as well.
True. Well, let's see how these players are going to pilot it as we do load on into game number 1 of Fight Night Rising, on board with NYU Gaming, again, our winner of last week. And they played really, really well. Every single game was a top 3. I believe it was a second, then a first, and then a third. So expectations are high for NYU. We'll see how they do pilot it. But I want to go back to kind of talking about the comps, right? The unpopularity of assassins, I think it's probably going to remain to be the case unless you get like a really sick opener for like a Syndicate Akali board. Only other time you really play assassins is when you reroll for protectors and maybe get like a protector emblem on a Katarina. You don't really play Six Sins with that. You lean more into the Academy tree, but still, at least some assassin representation is still going to be solid. It might, however, at least for NYU, be a bit of an invader opener, as we have a pair of Singed and an Ezreal on the bench.
Yeah, innovators seem to be one of those traits that people will gravitate towards due to playstyle, especially if you get, phony frontline really early on. You can get something like 6, 7 units on the board
Yeah.
before the even PvE round. And phony frontline is so good just in general. I think they touch some of the scaling
Yeah, I
as we
believe
get a
so.
level 1 prismatic, which is a little bit of a controversial situation that we're seeing right now.
Oh man, build different ones, still looking pretty good, and I think that's probably the choice here. I mean, Socialite, Soul, it just depends on where that hex is going to be. In Force of Soul, you will always get value out of, but it's gonna be a little bit, restricting. Okay, we do get a chance to actually see where that Socialite hex is gonna be, and it's kind of a little bit of that right side in the front row. The choice for NYU. Ah, please built different. I really like seeing built different games. It's just my personal favorite. But it's gonna be Socialite, and
Hmm.
maybe leaning into the fact that it's going to be that frontline hex. Of course, NYU is going to go for a kind of frontline carry, maybe a Yone, but maybe something else like a Jace down the line.
Yeah, you like built different, especially when you get all three of them in one game,
True.
which is something I've unfortunately fallen victim to in the past, as we actually get a ton of gold here, and we keep the Imperial opening available, which, Samira did just get nerfed, but the opening is still quite good. Along with this TF, there's a good amount of AD and AP. Ooh, look at that Star Wipe! Anyway, going over to Darth
That's
Nub
pretty good.
now, we've got probably one of the worst item openers that you can ask for, which is these
Yeah.
specific components in the early game.
That's true. There's maybe like one other combination of components that feels really bad, but you don't want to slam actually any of these items. And it's kind of weird, right? Because then does that mean do you go for a loss streak? And Darth Knob obviously pushing levels here. Maybe they want to try to win. It's just gonna be really hard to, maintain that win streak or potential one. Again, without the items, it is gonna be Lat M's finest with a Death Blade Slam, and they're playing a level up. So I believe it's every time you purchase XP, you get 3 extra, and then you can go to level 10. I think that's what that one is. Darth Nub playing featherweights, I think it looks like.
Okay, already 3 different ones. Usually you see like 4 of the same prismatic ones. So maybe we got a
Oh,
good
excuse me,
amount
Darth Nub is
of
level up. Sorry.
diversity. Darth Nub now picking up that Vi. Investing into Vi early on can actually be pretty great early game composition. I built Vi just like I would build a Yone in the early game, and that worked really well for me just today. So there's that available option, but the tree right now is just so weird, right? If you're Darth Num, you kind of have to just play as flexibly as possible until you get your 4th item component.
Yeah.
Because again, it's these specific item components that work poorly with each other. So an additional item component,
Oh.
you're going to slam the Frozen Heart, which is that early game boost. So we really want to win streak is what that means.
Yeah, I mean, Frozen Heart's not terrible. It's going to get decent value in the early game. However, in this fight, it's unfortunately not going to be enough either way. And that it's kind of strange to see that slam, because Darth Nub could have looked into the fight, looked and said, okay, Frozen Heart's not going to be enough. I think he made that accurate assessment, and then just didn't slam it. But not the case. Qua Little also is 76 HP. How do you even be that low at this point? Did they lose some neutral rounds and did I not see? Are they okay? I'm not sure.
Oh, actually, they would
Oh,
have had to lose some neutral
yeah, I
rounds.
think so. Uh-oh.
Interesting. We'll definitely get back on that as we figure out what is going on there, because I believe that it is almost the exact HP, which is losing 2 out of 3 rounds and then losing the first initial 2.
Yeah.
It looks like through the scouting, he's got units. So
Okay.
maybe it's part of the strategy. Maybe we were just econing.
Just econ. Yeah, we'll see. Got a golden ticket going on here, a pair of Quins, and as a mercenary unit, mercenaries did get, I don't want to say like hard gutted, but I kind of do want to say hard gutted in the last patch. Gangplank got like literally every single aspect of him nerfed, between his health, armor MR, flat attack damage, and his ability damage. All that got nerfed, as well as just mercenary in general, it being less likely to roll into those, good mercenary roles. So I think that we will see a lot less mercenary than say we did in the Piltover Cup.
I totally agree, and I'm just going to read the exact wordage because it should be
Yeah.
pretty obvious where the impact comes from. Is lowered the total power of the trait by slightly reducing the value of various dice rolls across the board.
Hmm.
Right, so it wasn't just one, it wasn't just two, it was every dice roll they looked at, and so almost every aspect of mercenary is worse, which is a good thing because it was just almost a win generator.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean,
uh,
there's
After a
Congress, right,
certain
who
point,
who's playing just mercenary openers and going 1-1-1 with them. So
yeah, and if you hit and like say you got a 2 loss streak and then won, the punishment really wasn't there for kind of messing that up. But we have a Rage Blade option now for the Twitch to go along with the Death Blade. So there are a couple people that the Death Blade can go into, especially with the bow. Some people think Urgot, but there's some other things kind of popping up lately when it comes to some of the beefier units, adding some damage onto them and trying to help get the rest of the team buttered up for your final executions a
yeah.
little later on.
Okay, so I mean, we do have the featherweight. It is on LatAm's finest board, and that's going to make the Twitch a bit more powerful. Even the Singe as well. You see him attacking real fast there, getting those flings off. Sphinx having the Clockwork Soul. Very interesting. It looks like Sphinx's board. I mean, Darius is really good when it comes to these fights. Where there's just a clump of units around him, but Twitch is not part of that clump, so it is not good enough. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Sphinx does perform well with win streaking in the early game, if I remember correctly.
Yes, Sphinx does like win streaking earlier
Okay.
on, and then we'll see a kind of like from 4-1 to like 5-1, you'll see a lot of losing there,
Hmm.
and then it's kind of okay. We hit level 7 or 8. Then did we hit our units? And that's where Sphinx will fall off sometimes. Is you'll play everything correctly, right? Everything will be by the book, and then we just don't hit sometimes.
Yeah.
And then we kind of snowball in the opposite direction. So this is a really good start.
Definitely, and a really good start for A-Rat. The Innovator Soul is so busted, actually. Like, this is honestly almost just like a free top 4. Being able to get 7 Innovator online is real easy from here, and that Dragon with all these changes, I think, is real nice. It leans itself into probably a fast 9. You can carry Jace. He's great in the front line, great in the back line. A-Rat having the opener to, having been win streaking up until Krugs, finding some good pairs. Like, this is a beautiful opener, and it's probably going to at least be top 3, if not more, from this spot.
And we have one of the best, early game item slams, and it's all that we've needed, right? This is one completed item. Doing this on the board right now on a tier 1 unit. All of the power is with this Innovator now, as it is very tanky, and once we do get to that ult, it is going to hit you like a bus. And so we're going to see what kind of itemization we're going to be able to get here. So we got a little bit of mana, we got a little bit of health, and a little bit of gold to help us 30. The gold actually might have been the most consequential thing there, but we get potentially some attack speed, a redemption, or a Shoujin's.
Yeah, okay, leveling up to 6, I do like. You want to make sure to keep the streak going, and I think that is important because the patch notes, I think, did change Innovator to kind of lessen its early game strength, but I'm pretty sure it now scales better off of, 2-starring your units, and I think Riot tends to do that over a course of a lot of sets that have like kind of summon unit, like Abomination, Cultist as well, have kind of fallen under that same line of we need to change this to make it more balanced, because early game it's obviously really good. It's still going to be good here when you're able to get 5 Innovator this early, and this Vi is going to do a ton of damage here, even going as far as to slam a Shoujin's. The Shoujin slam does lock A-Rat into I think pretty limited transitional options. The redemption may have been more flexible, may even arguably been better, because I don't know if you need the damage quite as much with the the mechanical bear already being there, but still, it's A-Rat's option, it is solid, and it's going to keep this win streak going.
So we decided to invest into a little bit more damage there. And that Shoujin's is going to be nice on the Vi. Vi scales really well into the mid game as we star wipe over. I love that transition. Rob, Ivan, Ken, Ob, Oh, man, I really wanted that to be end with Bob. But yeah, so Rob is got a front line. That is a little bit of a beefy front line and not so beefy friends. There, as we will get an extra tank because of our woodland, so that's going to be
Yep.
1,500 health coming from that Blitzcrank. They're both going to pull the same person, but they might knock up different people, which is actually exactly what happened here.
Yeah, it's not bad. Interesting that Woodland it was like nerfed a lot towards the PBE, but now it's moved to a prismatic augment up from a kind of mid-tier gold one. Really interesting, and I guess it is very powerful, especially in the early game. It's fantastic to win streak with, and it was good enough to win streak the first 6 rounds, but not carrying it forward into a rat when the win streakers run into each other. Yeah, that happens. But okay,
Oh,
it's one of these kind of games.
you know what's so
Prismatic option
funny?
again.
During the Piltover Cup, we got zero, I think, prismatic augments the entire day
Might be
on
good. Players might have
stream.
complained.
And for us, twice now, we've started with double. The first ever lobby we casted in the set, remember, was a triple prismatic.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, we one
That
percented.
was-
We 1%
We
the
high
first
rolled.
lobby. Yeah, exactly. So maybe we're just doing it again. You're welcome, everybody.
Yeah, we get to see all these exciting games. Now, players do, and I think it's very valid, they have their concerns over prismatic, especially openers. Some are just going to be a lot better than others, i.e., innovator soul versus socialite soul. Like, that's a pretty big difference, in my opinion, and probably the opinion of many players out there. Hopefully, going to be eventually addressed, but for now we get to experience the joys that is the chaos of these prismatic augments.
There are some good changes going into 0.24 that Mort has already posted on Twitter. I
Yep.
think it's a really great solution. So excited for those. But what we're seeing right now is the pre-change, and it looks like we have some syndicates. And the thing with Malzahar, which I think we've said a lot, is it feels like you're losing until you're winning. Right?
Yeah.
Or it feels like you're winning until you're losing when it comes to the Malzahar. And I think it's the cybernetics mutant buff. So I think they're getting health
Okay,
for
health and AD.
for their mutant buff. But now we've got a good plethora of items here. So people should be able to lock in exactly what they need as Sphinx actually goes for the chain vest on
Yeah.
the Jin.
I wonder if ARAT is left to the Seraphine. I mean, it should be a snap pick. Okay, the Seraphine does get taken before ARAT gets there, so no 7 Innovator as early as 3-5. That would have been crazy to see a dragon this early, but it could have been possible. Not the case, however, as a cloak is taken for Rob. Cannot make anything besides a Bloodthirster with it. These items, I mean, I think taking item grab bag is really, really strong. Just giving 2 complete items, and you have the option to reforge them later. For these items like a Locket, it's especially good because Locket is good early game, but falls off in the late game once fights are so fast. We'll see how it does go. Wow, actually spending every single bit of gold to go 7 and play a Talon 1 just for the 4 assassin buff. What do you make of that, Boop?
If our other assassins were kind of kitted out, then maybe. But I mean, I think the Katarina's already fallen, has already done the damage. I think this was probably going to be a win anyway. I mean, we're winning by 3 to 4. Oh yeah, we're going to win by 3 units. So I mean, maybe take one away, it's 2 units, and there's 2 Shakos there now.
Yeah, so it's the woodland, so basically it's 2 units. Right?
Exactly. And so you're going to get an extra unit anyway. So basically, we just really, really wanted to stay in our 94 range. This lobby is a bit top-heavy, if I say so myself, with Cole Little finally taking a dub there at the bottom side of the leaderboard at 36 HP.
We actually have 2 separate people running the Socialite Soul there, and I think one of the players had a Scion, and this is a great Scion Hex to benefit from that from Socialite, of course. So might see that Scion, perfectly built, can just kind of one-shot whole enemy teams. That's going to be pretty frustrating to play against, but surely exciting for us to see in action.
Shirley, don't call me Shirley, one of the greatest lines in all of movie history. Airplane. Anyway, we're going to have the Jewel Gauntlet now on the Vi, so it does seem like we're starting to itemize this Vi a little bit more commonly than some of our one-cost tanks that we were doing a little bit before. No one playing like printing Yordle, so everything that we saw last week is stuff that we're seeing this time. No really new additions just yet, as there's no way this Caitlyn and Jin are going to be able to take this down, and that is a huge loss for Nightmare.
It didn't kill a single unit, unfortunately. The Vi first hit was great, but then only got to hit one unit on the second punch. Caitlyn died before her snipe went off, similar to Jhin. Unfortunate. I think it's always like kind of cute how people will reposition their backliners to the front line for the Wolves round, because you don't really need to. Honestly, the Wolves round's like kind of a joke. I say as I think I probably lost to it in like set 1 or 2, but still.
You know what's funny about it is they'll move them for here because, yeah, you're supposed to move your damage into the front line, but if there's an actual assassin player in the lobby, no one will ever move.
True. Very rarely,
it's really frustrating, isn't it?
Yep, basically. A lot of items here.
Good items.
I gotta consider, yeah, there are good items. What item slams come through here? I mean, we could have an IE Jewel Gauntlet combo. Really, it's just gonna be a roll down to find direction for Red Nightmare. And with the Scion, it could be an IE Jewel Gauntlet Scion. And yeah, it's looking like that's what it's going to be. Even maybe has a bow for like a Titan's Resolve down the line. Oh, actually, the Titan's is already there on the Zac. If that wants to fit in, Redemption could be good as well. Oh, okay. Maybe a Banshee's Claw instead.
Okay, so why put a Banshee Claw on Scion? You're going to get some damage mitigation from that. The Seraphine ult does absolutely nothing, and then the Lux 2 at 4-1. That's pretty quick, Sphinx. That's pretty good. The Hot Hand of Justice is going to help out at this point in the game, but we're definitely going to need some more direct powers from Sphinx if we want to see that win. As we move over to Koa Little, running 4 challengers and 3 Chemtechs right now, having a little bit of a rough time is what it looks like. And we do see that Bloodthirster and Deathblade on Samira with a carry Warwick right now.
Oh, okay, there was a 7 Innovator player. I believe that was a rat in there. But yeah, moving over Qual Little, because, you know, was taking a lot of damage in the early game. They're going to be playing kind of a little bit of a reroll challenger comp here. I think they have Golden Ticket, which gives you a 40% chance to refresh your shop for free, as well as Item Grab Bag to give 2 completed items. Qual Little is frankly in a very rough spot. Still 4 Samiras away, 4 Warwicks away. Warwick 2 and Samira 2 should be good enough to get through the rest of Stage 4. Any further, though, and we're really going to need to hit these upgrades before Stage 5.
NYU, who had an amazing run last week, having a little bit of a hard time in that, you know, three level up from Rob, haven't lost since we used all of our gold to level up at 7. So really reaping the rewards from that right now, as Qual Little doing a little bit of the opposite. We did win that last round, but everyone except our top 2 is in a pretty weak position right now, as our top 2 seems to be hoarding some units. For example, there's a Seraphine 2 up there versus, you know, a Zac 1 down here.
Yeah, this lobby is actually so crazy. I think that is the second time I've ever seen someone running a Randuin's as like one of the Orin artifacts, and it was on a Sige 3. So that's crazy. Hopefully we get a chance to see that a bit later. But for now, still seeing if Koa Little can stabilize. The Samira Warwick is going to town. And Warwick with the QSS is great. He's not going to be able to get CC'd. He gets a lot of damage off, but it just wasn't enough here. Versus Sphinx, Qual Little dropping 11 HP. That is potentially 1 loss until elimination.
And we nosedived maybe on purpose a little earlier, as we do see the Scion with the Jeweled Gauntlet, Hand of Justice. Scion's definitely going to be someone you're going to be seeing a lot more of today, just in general, based off some of these changes, and that's already started to happen.
It's already 2 in this lobby,
right? And so now that we're seeing these Cylons and these Cylons, could you imagine?
My brain went to like pylons. I was like,
I know, right? That would be a really good like synergy or origin if we could figure that out somehow through the law of TV. But the Scion is going to benefit from a lot of that Enchanter bonus, more so than some other units. And plus, they're immune from damage for the first 2 seconds when there's 2 Colossus on the board. So, you know, you can definitely help each other out, as we've got arguably the worst tier 3 unit that we could ask for on this particular comp at the moment, which is Quinn, but maybe we'll be able to lock out some of the backline a little bit longer, as we are re-rolling, but not that amazingly right now.
No, definitely not that amazingly. I think chasing Zac as well as Lissandra, definitely not the play there. Guess you get Yone or a pair of Yones in for, you know, challengers, have to replace ones. I mean, finds on their Warwick. Still have a long way to go, but against this Scion, it might not be enough. Uh-oh, that's a heal to full with just one Scion cast, and the other one's going to be channeled, and that's the whole board dead. That's Little dead. A rough matchup to run into. A rough early game means a fast 8th there in our game number 1 for Little.
Really a strict true on that free is a means to an end. Huh?
Yeah.
Rushing to the end there as our top 2 finally having a little bit of a hard time. Yep, and we do get a triple prismatic. It's us. It's us, Crowan.
It is. We
it's
are
Windfall
the secret.
almost every time
Yes,
when you get into this position.
So
much gold went from running out to being able to roll at level 8 and compete for level 9 as well for Darth Nub at 41 HP.
It's because it's not even just like it's the 30 gold, right? It's the extra interest that you gain, so like 30 turns into like at least like 50. Like it's crazy how much gold that actually equals, and I guess it's nice for the rest of the lobby that I don't think anyone got Windfall at 1-4. Otherwise, they would have been insanely accelerated. But it's still nice to get at any point in the game.
Okay, I wonder if we're going to see the clockwork. I got absolutely destroyed by the prismatic clockwork.
The broken stopwatch?
The broken stopwatch, because Jin just ate my world up. It was crazy. Jin and Oriana. No. Was it Oriana? No. Anyway, it was absolutely insane, but we are going to see a Twitch carry here. Here's that Randuin's, and that's definitely not going to matter for this Scion right now, so good targeting from the Scion, and that's going to be a couple of hits, but the Scion's already low. So much damage so quickly there, and thank goodness for Giant Slayer, huh?
Actually, yeah, a bit of an unfortunate targeting for Scion there. Missed the Singe, missed the Twitch as well. Against the other Scions, A-Rat finally takes, I believe that is their first loss coming through on 4-6, so power of Innovator early game. Yeah, don't count it out at all. How many Scions is this, actually? Maybe it's one of the fights was a clone army. I don't think there's 3 Scion players, is there? I don't know. Oh my god, that Scion's so good. Sphinx actually gonna be exactly lethal. Scion's running amok, taking out everybody.
Oh man, it's not even an abomination this time. He's a real unit.
Yeah, he's terrifying either way.
Yeah, and so, this Randuin's is a good idea, and I love the Giant Slayer here, and specifically with so many Scions, Giant Slayer is going to feel really, really nice going up against it, especially with something like Rage Blades. You're getting a lot of those procs as time goes on, so you get to do death by, 1,000 blades and paper cuts. You don't have to choose one or the other.
That is true. Oh, man. All right, wrapped around, done. Locket potential, not the item components that you want to see left towards the end. But it's what LATAM's finest has to work with regardless. This Twitch does benefit from the Socialite Hex, of course, a little bit, but it means that his positioning might get a little bit, kind of griefed. You can't ever swap it around if you want to get that buff benefit. Do give him a little bit of the shield because the Locket does go on Echo. He is kind of the support, the holder of aura items. Well, I guess Echo and Singed, of course, with the Randuins. But it's the Scion.
Oh, Galio got a little bit of help on this last patch as well, so we'll see if we're going to be able to see that. Look how much damage already onto the Singe. Chemtech has already started. Did not kill the Singe just yet. The flip doesn't work as it targets the Galio, and he's going to knock everybody up. But look at the backline. Everyone has to look at the Twitch at some point, and no one did as Twitch comes up clutch, with triple prismatics on everyone's board. The last carry I think you would think of is Twitch. But you know what? Good thing for us. We're seeing him work really well right now.
Yeah, the Giant Slayer really doing a lot of great work. Red Nightmare, I think, is also going to fall at the hands of his Scion. Scion's eliminated every single player so far. Item's finest, though, on a 6-win streak with this Featherweights. I mean, Featherweights is amazing for these, 3-starred 1-cost units, Twitch being one of them. I think the other composition you would consider, or I guess there's a couple you can consider, the other being like Protector reroll, or anything that has to do with like a Kog'Maw, or even Yordles with Tristana, right? That could be fantastic as well. LATAM's finest really, really making it work here.
And the Twitch not even threatened in the last couple of rounds so far. This is going to be another round where that Giant Slayer is going to be very beneficial, especially against the Thorn Mail, but we have to get through our first initial ones. 2 hits, and that's it. This Twitch is throwing tree trunks out right now, but it is starting to get CC'd. The Dragon is starting to overcome, but we're all charging into those units. Oh man, this Twitch, though.
Switch is so good. It's just being left alone. It's even killing the dragon as well. Gets CC'd though, so cannot win the whole fight. The 6 win streak comes to an end. But like those damage charts, I don't know if you got a chance to see that at the end. It was like Twitch doing 11,000 damage, and nobody else even doing like over 1,000 almost, or maybe it was like barely 1,000. It was kind of crazy. But wow, what's also crazy is A-Rat's board 7 Innovator, 4 Clockwork, 3 Socialite. This is an absolutely crazy board.
Yeah, and we're pretty much power capped as well until we tier 2 some of our units. And so like the tier 2 Janna would be really nice. The tier 2 Jin would be really nice. So 4 Clockwork is going to give us a good amount of attack speed. So even people like Seraphine are going to be able to get to their ults. Maybe not as well for this, but we're going to get to our ult here for Seraphine and get it through the rest of the team. So we are going to get a little bit of help there as the dragon does fear everybody. The Scion, though, too much health regen on that Hodge. Dragon for dinner today. Don't matter.
I don't know how dragon tastes, Boop. I don't remember you asked me once how
It's
Bard
gamey.
Meeps taste.
Yeah, probably.
How does mechanical
really
dragon taste?
Yeah, probably needs a lot of sauce, right? I'm like a
Probably.
ketchup person. You know, I don't think it's going to be like steak dipped in ketchup, but like more like a chicken fingers,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
feel like fried dragon is probably pretty good. I've had crocodile, so
True. Same
probably
actually.
similar.
I think my college had like some random like either I think it was like alligator like taste testing thing in
Oh
my
my
dorm
god!
once. It was
Yeah,
so
mine had
interesting.
wild game night. That's where
wow.
that's where we did it. They served squirrel, alligator, and something else that day.
That's I didn't wasn't anticipating it, but you know it was pretty good nonetheless. But
Yep.
maybe the dragon less so. But some great upgrades coming through for A-Rat. Jin 2. Thieves gloves are not going to be put. Okay, I guess Heimer is open. Heimer's a decent Thieves gloves holder. Now we have 3 separate Thieves gloves on the front line. Both actually frontline Thieves gloves have the same role with the Locket and the ZZ Rot. That's actually fantastic at buying time for this Orianna to just keep chaining ults.
Yeah, and the Orianna is also going to help with shielding too. It's not just damage, it's not just CC, it's also support. Along with the Janna, who heals the entire board, there's going to be more than enough support to help, especially if the damage is already being done as quickly as it is right here and right now. That dragon does need to find some purchase right now, but is having a little bit of a hard time. The Galio, newly buffed Galio, doing a lot of work so far, and this is looking pretty bad for our Seraphine. The Heimerdinger doing as much as they can, but cannot get through that Titan Scion. Scion really showing up to the party right now.
Yeah, and it's just a perfect Scion game too, right? Because of having triple prismatic augments and where the Socialite Hex is going to be, or where it is, excuse me, is kind of everything just coming together. We do have an Akali player with Rob here. It's not a 6 assassin, but it is just going to be 2 assassin. No syndicates being played either. Or not 3 syndicates, rather. There is 1 more with Braum. I think there was 2 Scion 2s on another board, so we might even see a Scion 3 this game. Oh, here it is. There's NYU with double Scion 2s.
Imagine seeing that in person. We're going to get, and this is kind of a bad matchup because of the ult for our tank is Braum, and that's like not going to cut it when it comes to the Scions. It's going to be a little bit of a trampoline park right now. A good amount of damage mitigation and a nice ult from the Kaisa. 2 Scions might be too many right now, as that's going to fall. Scion 3 no longer going to be available for our friend NYU, who was kind of hanging around at the bottom of the leaderboard, but does get up to 5th place. But now things are starting to tighten up at the top.
Yeah, I think that fight was actually just like a Kaisa mechanics diff. She jumped out of the way right before the Scion Slam came down. Otherwise, it would have gone the other direction. But we have our top 4 here already.
And this top 4, I think, was something that we, at least one of them, you predicted not too long ago in round number 3. I believe we saw our first prismatic, but the Darth Nub now on fire, so the momentum is definitely going to be on their side. When you're on fire this late in the game, you're guaranteed to have a really good comp at that point. But now we're seeing our Twitch fall off a little bit as we have lost the last 2 rounds in a row, and that is always the crutch on kind of these assassin comps, is if you want an Akali carry, you will have to do some type of ritual with salt, and then maybe even bury something, make a doll, and then maybe you can get an Akali too.
Yeah, you
line
need
in
some sort
time
of
by the end of the
shrine and
game.
some sort of everything coming
Exactly.
together.
Do some type
Yeah.
of blood sacrifice in order to get Akali onto the board. And as of right now, the sacrifice not strong enough. The Mork gods might need a little bit more, as we only
Yeah.
have these Akali 1 on the board.
Oh, I mean, we have 6 assassin here, though. I think the last time we saw this fight, it went slightly over 8 Rat's direction. Let's see if LatAm's Finest can change that now with this new 6 Sin buff. The Twitch has gone through the Dragon already, and it's going to be turning into the Ori. Actually takes it down, the Camille as well. The Twitch does it this time, 14,000 damage, and that is the power of a Giant Slayer Featherweight's Twitch 3. Might even be potentially lobby winning, depending on if Darth Nub or Rob can, kind of hang on much longer. Maybe Rob can, because Rob just got an Akali too. So clearly Rob knows what kind of rituals, what kind of sacrifices to make for that one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously doing some research on Netflix or something, getting to google.com, like, what do you need to do to get a Call of 2 in a game of TFT? Because it's the one unit that you don't really see other people playing, but you cannot find it. But the Akali here with Academy Spat is going to make the rest of this team a lot stronger, gives them a little bit better scaling. We have Morelos JG on the Kaisa in the backline. We've already talked about the Kaisa tactics here, and the damage when you see those green health bars, they're doing fine just so far, but the Twitch is in a little bit of a precarious situation, but not for long. Good healing there. That Seraphine 2 actually coming in clutch as Rob falls into 3rd place.
Apparently, Akali 1 better than Akali 2. The rituals were not quite enough. The Akali from Rob didn't have best in-slot items, and also it would just, didn't hit the Twitch.
Yeah.
If the Twitch goes
His
down...
salt barrier had...
yeah.
Yeah, there was a little dent in the salt barrier, and the spirits were able to come over. Yep.
Oh, man. I mean, if the Twitch from LatAm's Finest comp goes down, then there's nothing else left, right? This comp's just going to fall over. But if the Twitch survives, it's going to be enough to win the round. And, it's going to actually move the Twitch and try to, either dodge a Zephyr or just dodge some bad positioning. I like that.
Yeah, I didn't even know Twitch could do this much damage personally. I think Featherweights is doing a lot of that work. Oh, yeah. We did get through some of that first cycle of damage, and the Dragon's actually not going to last that much longer. This is going to be something about innovators, but he's going to actually take him down with like 1 HP. You can't even see the HP remaining on the Dragon. Imagine if the Twitch was able to finish that off. We might still be alive, but instead we're going to have to settle for a 3rd place with a Rat and Darth Nub, 10 HP. They're within 10 HP of each other.
Yep, it's going to be the 3 Socialite, 3 Imperial Scion versus the 7 Innovator. And my god, the Scion's damage numbers are through the roof. It's like, when you watch LCS and it pops up like team fight damage numbers, and Twitch chat's just like lowest number Keck W, but I think you can ignore that for just like Pog at Scion's just huge numbers that he's outputting. And it gets to have even more of a support beside him with a Galio 2 now coming through, a Jace to a Protector as well. I mean, this board, absolutely crazy.
Level 10, by the way.
Level 10, by the way. Power of level up.
Power of level up that gives you the option to play these Colossi, right? Which they take up 2 spots, and now with the extra levels, those 2 spots are pretty much free for you. And I'm so happy that we actually got to see level 10 this time around. Galio is gonna hop up into the sky, help their friend here in just a second. Gets almost everybody but the Jhin, but that is gonna be one of the most important ones. We do see our first ult, and it's gonna be one of the worst ones that you can ask for in this situation, as the Galio doesn't even fall as they eat most of the Jhin ult. Where he went up a little fast, a little bit too high into the atmosphere there, as we're probably going to make it to round 7 unless a Rat gets, I think, wiped, which might happen in this next round.
It is potential, right? It depends on how good this first Scion cast is, but now the Yuumi 2 upgrade is here. Yuumi CC certainly going to be fantastic. It depends on where this Shroud is going to be as well. Even if A-Rat makes it past this stage and into stage 7, I'm not sure there's enough that could be done. Just everything goes together on Darth Nub's board so well. Having an extra unit, having even the Seraphine to heal up the Scion if his own healing isn't enough. This could be the last fight of the game, Boop.
Is this going to be it? Are the Rats going to have to go back to the sewers and hang out with the Ninja Turtles? Maybe, as Darth Nub looking strong right now, and the Scion gets an even better ult. that time around. And, Seraphine getting a little bit of extra
That's it.
damage there, too, as that's going to be it. We have our first lobby winner.
Darth Nub winning with the Scion, and yeah, we knew that we were going to be seeing some frontline big powerhouses as soon as we saw where that Social Hex was going to be, and with all of the changes that came through, Scion pretty strong. I think it makes sense to see those two compositions at the top two. Let's go refresh to see where all of the other ones remained with the score sheet. Darth Nub in first, A-Rat in second, Name's Finest in third, Rob fourth, and NYU, Red Nightmare, Sphinx, and Quad Little down the line. And I am kind of surprised to see, NYU, our last week's victor, did not even bottom 5 in any single game, but also Sphinx and Quad Little down there at the bottom as well.
Yeah, two arguably the most recognizable names
Yeah.
here for Fight Night. So we'll see what happens. I like seeing Sphinx kind of start this way and end strong, doing the anti-Sphinx a little bit in the Bizarro world. But I would also love to see Sphinx find a little bit of success here, as he wasn't very happy with his performance during the Piltover Cup.
Yeah.
So this is a nice kind of way to keep your streak going and keep yourself ready for the Zomp Cup, for example, coming up a little bit later this next year.
Yeah, true. We got a little bit to go for all these cups. The snapshots are still happening though, so ladder prowess still matters, and it's nice to keep the tournament kind of perspective warm, keep the tournament playstyle warm, and say these weekly fight nights. So just like to see Sphinx get a bit of a better start there, but gotta keep some praise going for A-Rat. Did top 3 last week, albeit barely, just by 1 point. They made it back because of a nice last game first place. They're starting off pretty strong here with that opener. I wonder if we will get another crazy triple prismatic game. It's a 1%, right? I think even this is still after the changes, so we're probably not going to high roll that hard, Boop. It's lucky. Okay, never mind. We're take all of what I said and throw it out the window, disregard it. We're having ourselves a good old Tactician's Crown opener.
Good old everyone starts with 2 units opener. So basically, everything you know about TFT in the early game is different right now. Is everyone going to start with an extra unit?
I don't know if these lobbies are blessed or cursed, but I think it kind of just depends on who you ask.
The timing of your intro to the lobby was very funny.
I
by the
hate
way,
it.
yeah, it was very, very funny. It's almost like this was meant to be. Watch this be a prismatic opener. Because we started with Tactician's Crown. We'll see what happens there. Yeah, exactly. Because I think we've done 3 weeks of this, and we've had 2 triple prismatic lobbies so far.
Yep, that's standard stuff.
Yeah, just standard Fight Night Rising, as we are getting a nice little academy opening here, but with the Tactician's Crown, you're going to see possibly some very aggressive leveling as we go forward.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what items come through. It is going to be a bow for Darth Nub. And that is interesting as well, because you oftentimes, right, in normal TFT game, you have 3 components. You get to pick and choose what item you slam. No prismatic opener here. Fortunately, maybe, for some of these players. It was the Yordle choice, but no, it's going to go for Weak Spot. Very standard, very consistent, very good opener. But back to the components, you're only going to have an option of literally 1 item to slam. And for the most case, for all the players, I don't think it's going to be a good one, depending on those item choices.
That's kind of like that self balance, right? Everyone gets an extra unit, but everyone's also going to be 2 item components less.
Yep.
But we'll see, because some people might high roll and get some units here and get to like 10 gold. So that is going to be really, really helpful to some of our boards if someone is able to do that, as we do get to the tier 2 graves. And again, this would usually be a really great start, but everyone is going to be moving ahead, and we truly won't know where all the starts are until after this first PvP round, as it's going to be just the Reforger and 3 gold there. I think we probably would have liked more gold, but the Reforger is going to be nice potentially a little later on, or we might not ever see it used.
Yeah, it did get a quote-unquote 2-component opener. One of those components, of course, is Tactician's Crown, but Darth Nub could have made 10 at a couple of points. One during the neutral stage, another during just that last round. I guess technically it's still during the neutral phase, but decided to pre-level instead, make those next shops a bit better. As, wow, Sphinx already has potentially 4 talons. This could be a talon reroll game, if perhaps it was a different augment, but with the Innovator Heart giving 3 Innovator, it's just going to be a Talon complementing it, and Talon's super, super good in the mid game. So this is a good Sphinx opener. Really one that he wants as well, considering the fact that Sphinx does like to play from a win streak opener.
Talent 2, though. That's pretty nice. And these Innovator openers did really, really well last round, even though they did get a little bit nerfed. I think this crab got nerfed a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit in the early game. I think just overall scaling. Maybe the crab got nerfed as well. I don't remember exactly. But
here, I have it open as I look it up. But yeah, the Innovator opener is always going to be good in my opinion. So if you have the option to go that way, especially after your first augment, I think that is a pretty good option to go, especially since in the early game, more units usually means more wins.
Yeah. Oh, look at the changes. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it does affect the all of the innovations, right? The crab, the bear, the dragon was a bit buffed, but just the overall base stats on these innovation summons are going to be a bit less.
All right. And so we're going to have the Innovator, and I like that the crab isn't the thing that's going to be tanking everything at first. A lot of times it's kind of just a meat shield. This time it's actually going to be able to push a little bit of damage as well, as that's going to be a big win for a Sphinx. That's 5 units there.
Yeah, 5 units, and looking like a bit more, of course, with the crab there. Only on level 4, having 6 units in is pretty good. See what else to buy there. See if they can end up making 10 gold. Item's finest. Another game with a Twitch and a Socialite hex. It does look a little familiar. I don't think it'll be, of course, a Twitch reroll carry because Tactician's Crown is stuck on it. But still a decent open or mid-game, early game opener.
Also, you don't see this very often, is we have 4 people at 100 HP on round 3.
Wow.
Usually you don't see the same 4 people win/lose 2 rounds in a row, but that's going to make some very obvious separation here in the early game, more so than you would be expecting, and that is because everyone has an extra unit, so everyone's going to be able to do 1 more unit's worth of damage, so possibly this lobby might go quicker than the rest because of that.
Yeah, definitely. Potentially so. I wish I was kind of better at math sometimes, because it's like, oh, how many people can actually be at 100 by the time that we do reach the first carousel? Like things like that kind of pop into my head, and I wish I could know the answer to. But that math is not my strong suit, so we have to just look at the numbers and how they result on the screen. And it will be with 2 players remaining with 100 HP. I think it probably could have been at least 3. Not sure if it could have been all 4 though.
And we have someone pretty low at 78. Koa Little was at 78 2 rounds ago in the last lobby, so it's good to see that we get a little bit more of a meaty early game for Koa Little. But with the Tactician's Crown taking up a whole space for this Twitch, it really pretty much just shows you that we're just holding items right now. We've got syndicates online as well, so we've got a potential assassin opening or assassin tree, or we can go through the Arcanist tree. Arcanist tree.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing well. your little
I like saying Arcanist.
Okay, well you're just being quirky now.
Look at me, I'm quirky. I've got glasses.
Wow, me too. Crazy.
Look at us, we're so quirky.
What do I even say? I say Arcanist. Yeah, I say Arcanist.
Arcanist.
That does sound fancier. I do give it to you. It sounds a lot more proper.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when I was like Celestial. But we do have the Rage Blade now on the Shaco, something that, I think a lot of people were really excited about when they saw that Shaco was in the game, especially at a 3 cost. It feels like, oh, we should be able to carry with this unit, and it looks like we're going to be trying here. But again, this Tactician's Crown with the phony front line, you're going to be taking a lot of damage. That is one of the best early game starts you can ask for.
Definitely was that like 8 units on the board there at just level 5, technically with a funny front line. Front line was nerfed a little bit. Sure, the scaling, or just the HP, I don't think is quite as good, but still great, solid early game option. Item's finest is already down at 68. Could even drop into the 50s potentially if this loss is going to be large enough, and that's not really what you want to see, especially considering Lamb's Finest is level 5. Usually players who are doing that are basically kind of like open forwarding fully, but that's not the case.
We're going to move over to Red Nightmare now, who has found some success. I believe has won a fight night in the past, but or at least top three as we
Yeah, at
see
least
our
top three, I
first
think.
as we see our first Yordles. This
Hmm.
is going to be a little bit more of that printing Yordle style, so we're going to be using it for econ. We're on a 4-game win streak though, so any Yordle that pops up is just going to be a little extra gold. It's like kind of, hey, I'm going to get 2 gold per win instead of the 1 if a Ziggs pops up out of this Yordle portal.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of considered as like what the tempo Yordle style. It's very good. You don't like just play for 3-starring every Yordle and kind of lose streaking in the early game, but you just play when you push levels, use to generate extra econ, and go a kind of fast 8 or fast 9. And you even can hit things like Tristana 3. It's like you can get the Ziggs 3, leave it on the bench. Tier 3, the Poppy, the Lulu, the Triss, and just kind of farm 3 gold every round when you're farming Vexes and Heimers. It is going to be not bad at all, especially with this kind of opener here for Tristana. Already sitting on a Fortress, sitting on a Last Whisper for it is pretty solid. Vest, not going to be a good item for it. Bow, or excuse me, a Rod could be Rageblade, but no other components come through here. A Heimer does, however.
Getting a little bit of more help from the game as Red Nightmare now looking to continue this advantage. 5 gold. We're going to get the Heimerdinger 2 now. We're going to be 2 gold below our interest. But the other thing that I think went a little understated was Snipers got kind of a big buff this patch, where I think the Sniper trait now adds a hex to their range. And
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and that also means that the spat will add a hex to anyone's range as well. So that's always going to be an option. And snipers did actually quite well. Once we did get good quad sniper comps, they top 2'd quite frequently.
Yeah, that is true. I think Jin is a solid carry right now. I believe with the sniper changes, it was like there's the sniper trait gives +1 range, but the units themselves got -1 range to kind of compensate for it. But the big like buff about it is that if you put, let's say, like a sniper emblem on somebody, they're going to gain that additional range, so they're going to be just better as snipers, and that's great if you want to consider, making, say, like, I don't know, Oriana sniper, or, just whoever really, and it's gonna be really really good.
Yeah, anyone with good AoE abilities. A Seraphine sniper destroyed me
Ooh,
earlier
true.
today. It was all decked out. It was IE Jeweled Gauntlet sniper. Oh my goodness, it was a pretty rough one because there was also a lot of healing going on there as well. I don't know if the sniper buff actually went towards the healing. That's a good question for Mort. But at the end of the day, things like Warwick, for example, could benefit from that sniper buff. If you don't have the ability to put an RFC on anyone, you can make someone as safe as getting an RFC. Yone is another one that you might think of. Fiora might be good with something like that. And then you can actually add some frontline units with your sniper, so you're not as skinny with that emblem.
Yeah, I mean, bodyguard changes came through. Bodyguards are a bit of a better front line, perhaps. I actually had a game where I think I was up against somebody with like a 4 bodyguard front line, and it really was not something I've really ever seen before, but it worked out great against my attack damage stuff. Obviously, bodyguards can be on the table, work well with snipers, as we do get another just silver tier augment. Going to be Bruiserheart and Phony frontline for NYU. And NYU went to level 7 at 3-2. So this crazy aggressive leveling has kind of come through both games for players while remaining to be at 0 gold. But it's kind of maybe worth it if you can keep that streak going. You can make that econ back and preserve HP to at least get you a top 4.
46 HP, though, for Latin America's finest. Speaking of preserving HP, or the lack of preservation of HP, and that, again, is just the addition of an additional unit in the early game that usually won't be there. That person might be at 56, 58 HP if that wasn't the case, as we're also on a 7-game win streak here for NYU. We have our 4 bruisers, so that's going to be a nice front line. Bruisers will probably always be a good front line, but we also have our phony front lines, too. So just like before, there are a lot of things that go into economy, and time as part of an economy of a team, especially this one with things like snipers, a part of it with the Caitlyn. And you want your Vi to kind of get as much of that debuff off as possible. So you really do want people to have as much time as possible in this comp specifically.
Definitely. Yeah, Sunfire as well, applying that to a bunch of different units. With this Kate snipe, it takes out the Poppy, so I think NYU is going to remain on this streak, and which means one of our players does have to lose it, and that will be Red Nightmare in this scenario. Not leveling up to 7, though. It's kind of an inevitability. You're kind of saying, okay, I am going to just econ, forfeit the win streak, go on a bit of a loss streak, and use that HP as a resource. But that is A-OK. Latinum's Finest, kind of not in A-OK territory right now. Already at 38 on stage 3. Carousel is rather low at this point. See if they are able to stabilize, as they do grab the Oriana with a glove on Carousel.
We've seen a couple Orianas so far today. We actually saw a complete Clockwork comp not too long ago in the last lobby.
Yeah.
I think Sphinx ran it and got 6th or 7th.
Oof.
So unfortunately didn't find as much success as I wanted it to. We needed Stopwatch, I think, to really give them that ability, as we have a 20 gold and an 8-game win streak. Basically what NYU absolutely needs is to keep this win streak going, or else our economy is going to get ditched pretty harshly here. Another 2 wins would be huge for NYU. 1 win would be okay, as well, as that gets us to 50, but 2 wins will get us to 50 gold most likely, and that's definitely what we're going to be looking for this top heavy lobby so far.
Yeah, I was actually considering, how do you then make this board stronger? And I think it's going to be taking out Arcanist and putting the Ziggs in the Socialite Hex. The problem is the Shaco Assassin's going to be running right into it. It actually gets caught, though, on the Zac. So Zig's going to have a little bit of time to get some damage out there. Caitlyn as well is going to get her snipe off, it looks like. And yes, she does. NYU likely to keep the streak going unless Shaco has anything to say about it from LatAm's Finest, but no, not going to be the case. LatAm's Finest drops even further down the HP train, 25, as NYU is literally quadruple that HP right now.
Usually that Ziggs is more like Shaquille O'Neal at the free throw line than Steph Curry behind the three-point line.
Honestly, that's a great comparison. Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I've finally landed on it. I was like, what would be the best? Good basketball player bad at free throws. That's one person.
You're cooking that one up in the labs, and
I know, right? I know. I finally got there. I was like, which person? Because sometimes it feels like Ziggs and Steph Curry, right? And gets a whole group of people, say, around a Socialite Hex. And other times he throws the ult literally 1/10 of a second too early and misses everybody. And airballs it instead. But that's a good Shroud coming in from NYU. 100 HP might still be available for us. And remember, this win will be absolutely huge in terms of freeing up our economy and keeping the possibility of a 100 HP game alive. But this one getting a little cagey right now.
A little bit. It still looks like it is in NYU's favor, as Rat just has the Vi and the Twitch left, but not going to be enough. I think I actually saw the Trundle roll a Morello's, which can't proc, but I thought this patch said that it was going to make it to whereas the scrap units will roll items that they can actually use, as opposed to ones that literally serve no purpose. But not the case here. Maybe a bit of a bug. I'm not sure. I'll have to keep track of that one a bit later. I feel like I've been baited.
We've been had.
We have.
No, I totally agree, because it was you can't get things like Gargoyle Stoneplate on Ezreal. Was one of those things. Basically, they put the scraps into separate categories, and so damage scraps won't get certain defensive only items. I don't know about Trundle, so he kind of fits right in the middle. Maybe the bite does proc Morello's. I'm
pretty sure it doesn't, because I think it's a physical attack, and that doesn't proc Morello's. I mean, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it does, which is why I was disappointed to see that. But this roll down from A-Rat hopefully is not disappointing, as we're rolling for some Arcanists or Arcanists, depending if you're a Bupasaurus, and no other Luxes, but a decent front line, right, with the Vex 2 and the Taric 2.
Yeah, and we're going to get a really good item combination, which is that Redemption and the Sunfire Cape. And the Redemption's actually really nice against things like Lux, because the Redemption does take damage away from AoE abilities once it does proc. So it is kind of nice when there's a good amount of AP damage that you're seeing throughout the rest of the lobby. Redemption might be a nice little slam in the mid or early game if you kind of see a lot of those AoE damage abilities coming at you. It was Misfortune, I think, was the biggest perpetrator of AoE damage before, but we're definitely going to be seeing a little bit more of that Lux as well, as we move over to a very strong Malzahar, as Synaptic Web is going to be our mutant buff, and that always means Malzahar.
Yeah, I mean, Synaptic Web is decent for Malzahar, right? But it's a little interesting because generally players would only go this Malzahar-centric carry route, and Cho'Gath, of course, when it was either the Voracious Appetite, which is kind of like the Dark Star variant, or the Eldroid variant, which is Metamorphosis. But those both were nerfed coming into this patch. The question is the Synaptic Web going to be strong enough, especially with only a Cho'Gath 1 in the front line? These Malzahar items are insane. In fact, they're super good, but just, front line. You still need a good enough front line.
Mm-hmm. And you're seeing how slowly
Oof,
the
okay.
Malzahar was actually able to get through that front line. And just because of the amount of time that round went, I believe this was the second to last. Actually, it's one of the first rounds to finish. So this Malzahar overachieving a little bit, but that is going to be falling off here really quick. Definitely
Yeah.
by the time we get to round 5-1, maybe even by the time we get to our next augment, unless the
Okay.
augment's going to help us out. But that's going to
Big
be really
upgrade.
nice as we finally have a front line. It felt like we may have had one before as a little bit of a phony front line, if you ask me myself. But now, especially if we get to the Dr. Mundo 2, then everything's going to change here. As this particular mutant buff is actually kind of nice for Mundo with his tanking.
Yeah, and having a Tactician's Crown opener is going to make it very nice because you get to fit, 7 units on the board. The Cho'Gath takes 2 spots. I almost got tricked into thinking that because that Cho'Gath was so big in the previous fight that he was already upgraded, but no, that wasn't actually the case. And these units have such low HP pool as Malzahar is just going to eat through all of them and is going to bring Kawhi Little up to a 6-win streak, even taking down like Yumi's at this point in the game. That's just an early Yumi. To have Yumi on 4-2, I think was the 4-2 roll down for Red Nightmare. No gold left suggests as such. But yeah, again, Kawhi Little, the only player on a win streak right now.
Mm-hmm. In Latin America's finest, and Rob Ivan Kenob at 4 HP here. One or both might not even make it to the augment. Our mutant player for sure will, as that's a big old honeybee chonk. And now we're moving back over to NYU Gaming.
Yep.
There's going to be a spatula available on a 5-cost unit in Elo's plat and below. That spatula would be picked up first, regardless if you need it or not. But we're seeing it kind of left until the last round here.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I mean, it's just spatulas don't seem to give that much value, especially after Academy nerfs. One of the only ones that we were used to see, slammed as was Academy, and only specifically Chemtech or Chemtech if you wanted to go like 5 or 7 Chemtech, which arguably are kind of fake traits, and maybe Mutant if it is a specific Metamorphosis or Voracious Appetite Mutant game. Everything else doesn't really seem to be that much value, though, so it's oftentimes left until the end. Not really a surprise, I think, there in this situation. NYU has leveled to 8, but this board is going to fall off eventually. There is no real carry unit available for NYU, right? There's the Caitlyn carrying IE right now, but there's not even any Urgots on the bench, and you like to run, Urgot Jinx with this Bruiser variant. See what
Trundle is
NYU
the
has to
carry
find.
right now.
Yeah, and he just has a Thieves Glove, so it's kind of relying on the heart of the cards to see if he can actually carry or not.
It's time to do it. Sorry, wrong game. A
There
prismatic.
we
We
go.
got another one. Makeshift armor prismatic is nice. Enforcer
Oh
soul
yeah.
is going to give us 4 enforcer here, which is pretty brutal in the late game. But there was also a good choice, I believe, on that first prismatic, which was
Woodland.
Woodland
Yeah.
Charm. We
Woodland
have
is not bad.
a front line already. We have 6 bruisers. I believe the Woodland copy will eventually get some of the help from all like the items and stuff on the board and some of that bruiser buff as well.
Makeshift
But
armor.
probably makeshift
Yeah,
armor.
it's so much
If you're
value
feeling
with the funny
spicy
front line.
enforcer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Spicy Enforcer for sure will always get value, but still makeshift armor. Again, because you have the funny front line there, that will gain the resistances. And just with the flat HP of Bruisers, it's just going to be more stats in general that enemy boards have to get through, because they have to get through that whole big HP pool with it having 60 armor and MR. Actually end up taking the Enforcer, though. So for Enforcer, we're going to see multiple things get enforced. This Cho'Gath and the Malzahar, certainly for Kawhi Little.
Enforcing.
Wait, enforced? Wait,
It
what?
was the 2 in the back line.
Oh,
So Malzahar and Kassadin got
yeah.
enforced that time.
Oh yeah, she can't
The
enforce. I'm silly. Can't enforce unstoppable units.
Exactly. And so the game is going to be able to fix that already. And so what that means is, hey, you know what? I don't have that much damage. I'm going to take your damage away now, as the Enforcer is going to be really helpful with that. Delays this Malzahar who needs time, and any delay on that ultimate is kind of a huge nerf in total damage, except not
Wow.
when you have enough of that ult going on to everybody and the timing works out for you. Because again, Malzahar's ult works in a real weird way. It like has to tick and then kills you,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes there is what feels like a moderate delay on round wins and stuff like that.
Yeah. Definitely. NYU now starting the transition, starting the pivot has sold to Caitlyn. 9 units can go on the board, plus the phony frontline means that there's a lot going on here. IE being the only damage item. That still could be okay with maybe like a Jace, because Jace would also give that 4 Enforcer back. Other unit to do so would be Fiora, but there's not really any challengers to work with here. Nico's Hell, that's a big one. Tom Kench pair. We have maybe some good Tom Kench items as well, and NYU can farm up some damage items that, so desperately needs. You kind of throw Warmogs, throw an Ionic Spark on there, you can kind of go to town. Warmogs is, of course, fantastic on Mundo as well, so it might just end up going there.
Yeah,
Ooh, there's Jace.
I think Urgot's kind of in a bad spot right now, honestly. So not going to be doing a lot of damage at all. I believe got 5 damage taken away at tier 1.
Yeah.
As we have Sir Thomas in the front line. We're going to get some items on him now. The Warmog's going to be really nice. We might actually get an extra item or some gold because of this Braum eat feeding the Kench, and the Kench is going to throw up some gold at the end. And this is not going to be a ton of damage at once. This is going to be a war of attrition here for this Tom Kench squad. There's not a ton of upfront damage, but there is a Thomas Kench there that is hungry, my friends.
Oh, it didn't quite get the full eat off there, but actually even just taking I was gonna say taking that unit into the stomach, the Vex there was great, and might actually allow the time for Mundo if you can get some more healing off to win the fight, but it's overtime. Nope. The healing's not gonna quite be enough. Vex with triple item is gonna be enough for a rat there in that round.
How vexing.
How vexing indeed. I think the question is, how is NYU going to fit the Jason to get that 4 Enforcer back online? As we move over to Rob, who has an interesting assortment of items. Double Dragon Claw Braum and a triple item Misfortune, who was nerfed coming into this patch.
It was nerfed.
Yes.
Was one of the main things, I believe, that got nerfed. Misfortune attack speed down by 0.05. That does matter in terms of ultimate generation. And Make It Rain got a 25 damage nerf at tier 1, tier 2, and a 50 damage nerf at tier 3, which overall is a lot on something that procs multiple times around. For example, I think that Braum probably is almost dead in the old version of Misfortune, but unfortunately here, just not enough damage. But this is going to be good. She's still going to be good against some skinny backliners, but was enough damage done? The answer is no. Our 4-win streak wasn't enough to continue to 5, as our Ornn item helps us out there.
Yeah, that Eternal Winter on the Galio is definitely was seen as one of the best Ornn artifacts. It's going to be great. Rob does get a 7th, though. Gets to dodge 8th. Latium's Finest claimed that one, unfortunately. Seeing where people are making their endgame boards. The HP gap is starting to thin, as nobody is above 50 at this point. Darth Nub, next person on the chopping block, though. Still 2 Vexes and 2 Heimers away from tier 3ing both. Every single round is going to be do or die.
Do or die, and hopefully not a lot of dying if you are a fan of Darth Nub, who is stuck right now on the Mundo. But that displacement's actually going to get the attention off of the Mundo, but the Heimerdinger with all of those items, with all of that damage, falls. A lot of weak units right now. The Swain might be able to take some of this down. A couple more ults might be enough. Not enough HP generation, and the Dragon's Claw is going to be the difference at the end of this round.
Yeah, you give Mundo a Bramble and a Declaw, and yeah, all of a sudden, spells ineffective, crits can't happen. Mundo is just too much of a beast, and takes down Darth Nub in 6th place. Stage 5 Carousel is now here. A-Rat and Sphinx get first dibs on these potential emblems or items. Academy emblem is there, and A-Rat does snag that one immediately.
Sphinx, not quite sure.
Sphinx is
In
dizzy.
terms of itemization here, these all are kind of bad. For this point in the game, for example, slamming a Bloodthirster on somebody is not going to give you that much more motivation unless it's the shield that's going to help you at the end of the day. I'll never forget double Bloodthirster Heimerdinger last set being saved by the Bloodthirster shield.
Oh yeah, true.
Had nothing to do with the attack damage, but everything to do with the shield, as we are going to be moving some people around. There's a lot that is online if you look up to in terms of synergies with the enchanters, giving us a little bit of magic resist and seeing our front line. That's going to be pretty helpful, but our carry is still a tier 1 unit, unfortunately, but it's one of the better ones in this gen.
Yeah, even the okay, the sniper emblem comes into play here for Sphinx. It's gonna be Sniper Oriana, like we kind of talked about earlier, and Sphinx is forced to even lock the shop to get Oriana pair. Has to just get through this round first. Jin starting to get CC'd. Here's his first piercing shot. Cho'Gath still alive the whole time. Malzahar damage is coming through. I don't think this Jin's going to have enough time to cast more, but he does actually. He does. Is it gonna be enough? It is. Wow. Thankfully, dodge the Malzahar spread damage and gets to live another day as Red Nightmare goes to 1 HP. Sphinx locks for the Oriana, rolls and hits none of his 3 pairs that he's looking for. Oh man, it feels so bad to be sitting on level 8, 0 gold, and on a pair of 3 things. Like, what do? Do you sell one of the pairs to try to hit, the other ones, hit the Gen 2, or do you just pray live until Dragon?
I don't think we saw the better comp win in that round, actually.
Honestly,
so we got a little
agree.
lucky there. This is going to be a very similar composition, but it's going to be the sniper emblem on the Oriana versus the Jin 2. And instead of the Yuumi, we've got the Seraphine, but everyone's going to get knocked up by the Galio. And the Jin's already starting to ult, but the Jin 4 Sphinx standing in the perfect place to avoid 3 or 4 ultimates perfectly, doesn't get CC'd at all during this entire round, and for the second time already, the tier 1 unit beats the tier 2 unit.
There we go. A bit of a positioning diff, but just the other units on Sphinx's board are super, super good. Braum and Leona, that bodyguard frontline 4 snipers that we were mentioning earlier, looked really, really good, even though Braum kind of griefed that second ultimate and only hit the enemy Galio, which obviously can't be CC'd. But Red Nightmare falls in 5th, and we do have our top 4, and it is very, very close between 3 of them. A-Rat at 13 HP, Sphinx on 12, Quilittle on 7. NYU, that early game aggression, really, sacking a bit of HP to stabilize again, but that's just the power of having a good early game.
Early game, the most important it's ever been in this set. We're going to get some nice gold to get a little bit of econ, and hopefully a Gen 2, a Janna 2, or an Oriana 2. Either one of them would be great. Maybe all of them, especially if we hit the roll here. We definitely would have gotten Gen 2.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be the Janna. I think that's going to be pretty helpful. And it's not going to come through, unfortunately.
No.
The game really wants us to pick up Braum, but we have the Gen 2, which is a huge get, because the Oriana 1 is nice, especially with the sniper buff. If we get the ult off, it's going to be super good, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the Gen standing at that enchanter spot, and has to avoid all of those ultimates again by being on the perfect hex. But we're up against the Lux, and we did just get shrouded.
Yeah, Jin got shrouded, Braum got shrouded too, which is maybe even the bigger one. The enemy Lux from A-Rat, though, is not hitting this Jin. It hit the Seraphine, hit the Zillion, hit Zillion again, and allows Jin all this time. He needs to start hitting this Lux, though. The Lux is going to cast towards the edges of the field. Finally, the ult finds Jin, and Sphinx ends up falling. Exact lethal as he's out in 4th.
Again, exact lethal again. This time, though, in 4th place. That's the type of upward momentum we want to see.
Yep.
And unfortunately for Sphinx, that was mad winnable if Jin just focused a little bit harder. If I was Jin support on Reft Justin, I probably would have been a little upset.
That's
But
true.
since we're on TFT, and Lux also decided to give Jin as much opportunity as possible through that round.
Yeah,
It could have gone either way.
definitely. Me as a sport man, it's like, you do everything you can for your ADs, but if they just don't kill the enemy, like what do you even do at that
Sometimes you just
point?
got to hit the enemy.
Yeah.
Right, as opposed
See.
to just walking around. My favorite is when people click back and forth a bunch of times and they just end up walking back and forth instead of doing anything.
True.
Right?
Oh my god, it's Lux. Oh, gets eaten by Tom Kench, but Tom Kench dies. Lux will pop back out. Here she goes. Lux, good unit.
Lux, good unit. Ramblin loves these AP units, and Ramblin got the most points during the Piltover Cup, and for 2 days in a row, which is actually pretty insane. The Shroud move on the Swain to keep our quad Arcanist alive, and we have 4 Academy too. So along with the 3 Socialite, that's not something you see every day, but the Socialite buff is definitely helping this Lux right now, especially with that mana generation.
100%. A-Rat trying to move the Shroud in a good location, moves it to far left. Not going to be a great hit, though. It's just going to hit the Jace and Zac. However, I think the clone fight on the other side there, Qua Little, is going to have to deal with it as well. But all eyes on Lux. Can she output enough damage? Can she take on the Urgot? She does! And now the Tom Kench, and now everything else is going to fall over. Even the Mundo with a Dragon's Claw is no match. Lux, what a unit. Takes down NYU. That 48 HP was chewed through, it feels like, in just a couple of rounds there. Now we have our top 2.
I think I saw a 15k crit there. That IE Jewel Gauntlet. Yeah, or 1500.
Maybe it was 1500.
Numbers are hard. By the way, I'm just trying not to sneeze, to be completely honest with you right now. And so, sorry for the quick maths. Unfortunately, reading is hard. I'm like Robin. And so we are going to get our Braum 2 and potentially some help with the Tom Kench. Tom Kench is great with the Shroud. A little bit of dodge with the Shroud is good for him to get to that first eat. And we're also going to be able to get our 4th Arcanist up here soon. And it's going to go very well with the Victor, especially with the Zonias, which is almost a guaranteed ult.
Yeah, true. The Shroud gets to be replaced as well, so it's... Oh, it can't hit the Kaisa, which is big, but does hit the Cho'Gath, the front line there, and the Malzahar. Can Kaisa get enough casts off the Scion CC onto the Lux? And Lux is not going to shoot towards the enemy Kaisa either. She is healing every single cast, but I don't think it'll be enough to get through this Kaisa. No, it won't. The Lux falls. A-Rat is going to slowly fall as well after this eat. Oh, actually 1 HP though. It's only 3 units, so we do get another round.
Next round. This is going to be the last one. This is guaranteed to be the last round, and that wasn't that close. I don't know if how many times you saw 10,000 damage there with 1,000 damage crits there with Lux. Being able to one-shot Urgot in a previous round really goes to show how much damage goes at once there. We're not even running that Giant Slayer, but this is a problemo. Friends, as Cho'Gath 3 is kind of encroaching on Mundo's space right now. I don't know. I can't even see Mundo. Some people don't like to be touched, and we gotta ask Mundo first.
Cho'Gath does not know personal space, personal bubbles, and might not know it against any of these units. It's gonna be taking down everything. The Kaisa as well, though, is half HP, and Kaisa does go down this fight. That's a huge difference between this fight and the last one. Cho'Gath, can he heal up enough? I don't think so. I think it actually might go over to A-Rat this time. A couple more casts from Lux. Here's one.
Gargoyle Stone Plate.
Eat. Another one. Yes, it does. A-Rat, 1 HP, but that's all you need. Gonna win here in game number 2.
1 HP and a dream. That Cho'Gath, once we got into Cho'Gath 3, looked like it was going to be unbeatable, but the targeting from Lux was the difference maker there. Getting the Kaisa was absolutely enormous. It might have been the difference between winning and losing that round.
Oh, man. That was absolutely massive. That was some great stuff there. I thought, with that 4 win streak, it would have been an easy 3rd, an easy 1st place for Qua Little, even though it wasn't, an OP mutant variant. But wasn't the case. Let's go ahead and look at the scores over our past 2 games. A-Rat taking the dub, and with that last game being a 2nd place, A-Rat certainly in contention here for at least a top 3, if not an overall week win. Arth Nub in second with 13, NYU in third with 11. But honestly, these scores are really close. We have Koa Little with 9, LATAM's Finest, Rob, and Sphinx with 8 points, and Red Nightmare just behind in 7. This is one of the closest fight nights between like 2nd through 8th that we've seen in a while.
Yeah, and you never know. A rap might get 8th place in round 3 and open up the entire lobby because of that. So even though we do have a little bit of a lead, a 10-point difference between top and bottom, I think it was 11, going into round 3 is not a lot. We really are going to get to see more, of course, after this third lobby, but going into halftime, it's really still up in the air no matter who you are.
It definitely is still up in the air, so we're going to give these players a few moments to rest and give ourselves a bit of a break as well. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back soon with more Fight Night Rising brought to you by Wisdom. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. 2 games in the books, and 2 more left to go. We have a very dominant performance coming out from ARAT. I would say, first game, the Innovators. I mean, it was a triple prismatic lobby, so I mean, it was crazy all around. But Innovators, and then we had the Force of Nature game, the last game, just crazy stuff all around. Boop. I think we are a bit of a curse and/or blessing. It depends on how you want to look at it.
We are a viewer's blessing, a player's curse.
Yeah,
I
true.
feel like that's a lot more accurate
That's fair.
than other things because yeah, we had the tactician's crown start. I don't know
Yeah,
what a force of nature is crown.
true. I was good about saying it last game, but then I just reverted back to Force. What? Force Nature doesn't exist. Tactician's Crown. There he is.
There it
Reminder.
is. We got that. We got a prismatic augment.
True.
That game too for that last augment. So we'll see if the shenaniganery, which is one of my favorite words, will continue
It's a good word.
going into this third lobby. But the middle of the pack is tied. Pretty
Yeah.
much right now. 3 people at 8 points, 1 person at 9 points. And I think last place at 7
Mm-hmm.
points right now. Yeah, there it is. And again, that means it's anyone's game. There is a couple point difference between third and fourth, which is the most kind of important separation that you're seeing. But 2 points is easily made up, especially now that we're going into game.
Here we go into game number 3 with a rat. And I don't say that to be mean, of course. That is just a rat. That is their name. 2 and then 1. Let's see if we can keep that hot streak going. This lobby overall is very, very close. ARAT being the only kind of outlier here, 5 points above second place. But second through eighth is only a 6 point gap. So really, there's room for so much movement here, even with ARAT if they go, double eighth or have a couple poor games.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. I hope that a rat plays Yordles at some points for the thematics of it.
True.
If there's any buff that I believe is strong, it's the thematic buff. When it comes to what you're doing, you never know. If you play arcane units, maybe we'll do really well.
That is
Based
true.
on what's happening
Ooh.
right now, because I think almost all the arcane units are actually pretty good. As I like our friend of rat here, as he puts the mutant trait at the top, which is Omnivamp.
Yep, there we go. Feels good. Bio leeching, which does give the Omnivamp. I think it gives that to the whole team as well. So even if you splash in 3 mutant, it's not bad. Might not see just the overall, full 5 mutant comps like we did see. I believe it was Qualittle run last game, but hey, the potential is there. Now we get our first augment choice. It's going to be a gold tier augment. Thrill the Hunt is very nice, very standard, and that's probably going to be the choice here, and it is. I like it.
If you don't know
Euro carry.
what augment to go, and Thrill the Hunt is one of them, you can just pick that. Might not be the most exciting augment in the entire world, but for certain units, it's really good. Like for Swain and for people like Katarina in the early game, and going into the late game, it can be really good too. Until some of your units start stealing kills, like your Seraphims, for example.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Which could backfire for you, as you need your frontliners potentially to get those units. But the 600 health gold augment here for Thrill the Hunt tier 2, it is really good for early and mid game, especially if you do kind of go that Arcanist route, or anyone that's good at executing, which is someone like this Trundle and this Vi. This is a really great front line. We've seen Vi do really well in the early game so far today as a little bit of an item carrier.
Yeah.
But since we're doing scrap, Trundle's going to be the carrier this time around.
Definitely makes sense that Trundle would get these items. I guess there was a bit of a consideration between Gargoyles and Bramble, but Bramble is going to be overall just very, very consistent, especially if anyone's going to. I mean, they're both consistent, right? But Bramble is going to be a bit better if anyone is running that crit. NYU has a pretty good opener as well. 3 Academy is the only kind of synergy in here, but with the Graves as a Morello's holder, which I personally actually really, really love, it's going to be really hard to take that out with the fact that there is an Alawi 2 as a frontline as well.
Alawi, one a really good frontliner, receives health when someone else damages the person that they ult, and for some frontliners like Cho'Gath, if you're able to get that tag on, Alawi can do a lot more tanking than she's supposed to as we upgrade our Ezreal. But where are we going to go with it? We are going to go ahead and slam him in just for a better board. Not going to help with any synergies. And we're actually taking out an academy here, but I think this is the best option.
Yeah, it takes out an academy, puts it in a tier 2 unit. That's almost always going to be, at least in the early game, a better option, especially because it's not dropping a tier, right? You're not going from like 4 academy to 3 or something. You're just going from 3 to 2. Perfectly a-okay. But that is going to be a Swain 2 with Ionic Slam for Rob. A great unit. And even while Graves can kind of hold his own there, hard to do it. Graves does, or Swain does actually end up going down. So this might be a bit closer than I expected. Just a bit of a 1v1. It depends on who casts first. The Ezreal casts first. Oh,
no!
what? Oh, the Zyra did get the cast off, and the auto was like midway in the air. In fact, it was like 90% away there. That was about as close as you can get in an early game fight.
Yeah, I think I reacted almost perfectly, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, in that situation. Sometimes TFT turns into bowling. You know what I mean? Where you start just doing things that you hope works. Like,
True.
you know, if you want your ball to, you know, curve a certain direction, you'll move your hips that direction, right? You'll
Yeah.
start leaning that way, try to push it. Or if you're trying to crit in another game, you like think of the crit as hard as possible and you hope to do it. That was exactly what we saw just now.
Yeah.
Something that we're not seeing actually a lot of is Ruden's Hurricane. Very rare item so far in these last couple lobbies. Saw it a lot over the weekend,
Oh yeah.
particularly with our auto attack based units, but not a ton right now.
Yeah, and I think that comes through with people's at least less willingness to play Yone or Urgot based compositions now that they have been nerfed, which is probably just kind of bringing them in line with all the rest of the 4 cost units. Still, the aversion to that, it's not as much of like oh, I will always auto slam this in the early game, and I will always find a good composition to run with it, because you can't quite force these comps like Yone and Urgot as much as you could do previously, or at least as effectively as you could do in the last patch.
Totally agree. And I mean, Urgot scaling was taken down by 5% on the ultimate, and that's a lot over time. Urgot in a little bit of a rough place, as you can see, almost everyone has just kicked him to the curb. Was one of the most common carries, maybe the second most common carry this past weekend, and haven't seen a single Urgot carry so far today. So that's what a patch can do to you.
Definitely is patch can give, patch can taketh away. Item slams can give and taketh away as well, but Darth Nub has not slammed a single thing so far, and yeah, it's on a bit of a loss streak because of it. And still considering, I mean, regardless, I think it seems like Runaan's and Hodge is still a decent slam in that, or Last Whisper, right? Kind of pick your poison. But Darth Nub really wants to keep the options open right now and go up against a built different board from Koa Little. Oh man, I love Koa Little today. Just playing pretty great, at least last game, and taking built different. Definitely after my own heart here.
Built different is, I don't know what it is, man, but the second I select built different, I lose every brain cell I've ever gained in my life. It's like you learn how to play TFT in a certain way, right? And then you pick built different, and it's like play the opposite of what we've ever taught you about TFT,
Yep.
which is cool,
I
right?
love
Because
it,
if you're
yeah.
able to do that, that's such a cool strategy. Like to have an augment that is just potentially too hard for a certain amount of the ladder is really interesting if you really think about it. Because like for me, I've had to come up with certain like hints, like oh, no synergy is a synergy. I just have to think about that in that
Yep.
way, right? And you know, I'm going to put 2 Mundos up, or I'm just going to do repeated units because I'm not going to add certain synergies on. I get socialites taken away from me. A lot of the 5 costs get taken away unless you're just fine sacrificing that built different HP differential. And then it's like, do you even keep it for the rest of the game?
Yeah,
right? Because it's one of the best
true.
early game augments out there, arguably the best early game augment, but it is not a game winning augment. So there's something that you're going to have to do with it a little bit later on. And it's just the skill expression for that augment specifically that you're seeing from Koa Little is enormous, as we actually have a surprising loss.
Yeah, that Swain
Built
is
different usually doesn't lose at this point in the game.
No, I mean that Swain, for lack of a better term, is also built different. I mean, Swain 2 Alex Spark is so good. Unfortunately, no one can fully streak into the Krugs. But yeah, with build different, you got to take the core concepts that you learned from TFT for the past 5 sets and throw them out the window. I like it. It forces adaptation, and again, as you were kind of alluding to, it forces the conversation of how long you're going to hold on to playing no synergies With Build Different 1, you for sure pivot out of it. With Build Different 3, it's like, okay, I'm probably going to stick with playing no synergies the whole game. But I think Build Different 2 is in that middle ground, in that awkward middle ground of I could have arguments for sticking with this, but I also might not. And I think maybe losing that win streak in stage 2 kind of leans itself in the direction of not sticking with it for the entire game if you're Koalatal.
Yep, and our built different units got nerfed. Like Gangplank, for example, got nerfed not too long ago in the last patch, and Parlay is doing a significantly less amount of damage on those ults. So
Yep.
getting something like a Gangplank 3 is going to be really nice for a built different player just to get you out of it if possible. But some of the units that we use as our carries in that particular comp, which can look very different depending on who you are, but usually you'll settle on like a mercenary carry or something like that
Yeah.
because it's really easy to isolate those units away from other synergies.
Definitely. Oh, okay. Aggressive level here from Rob. Level 6 at 3-1 with only protecting a 1 streak. And looks like they might actually get punished for that. This Alawi depends on how much Malzahar damage can tick there. Is it a level diff? It is. Okay. So I stand corrected. That is a level up difference, and Rob gets rewarded. And Ziggs too coming through with the natural roll there. There was a Mundo in that shop. Interesting. Ooh, Red Nightmare. Not only playing Rich Get Richer, but also playing Mercenaries. This could be absolutely amazing or insanely disastrous, and there's really going to be no in between.
No, not at all. That's why I love this comp. It's super fun, right? So basically, this will either be the last time we see Red Nightmare after we leave this POV, depending on what units pop up here. We're definitely trying to lose until the... Oh, why do cats do that? Anyway, we're probably going to lose at least another 2 to 3 rounds. I think a 6 loss streak is where a lot of people start trying to push wins, and we're purposely keeping some weaker units on the board right now. And the Misfortune actually takes 2 ways, so that's really nice. We don't get wiped. We actually take 2 units down.
Yeah, maybe it could have taken more if the cat didn't jump on the desk, blame the cat. No, but that would have gone the same way regardless. Now we get a silver augment. Thrill is decent, but so is Phony Frontline. That's still going to be a snap pick here. It is just so good. GP gets to replace one of these units potentially, but he's actually not really better than anything, right? The MF gives Sniper, it's great. The Alawi gives Bruiser for Frontline, and Quinn gives Challenger for the Samira. Actually can't slot this GP in.
And I think we're still trying to lose. So even though we would put the GP in, it would still just be a level 7 tier 1.
Yeah, for sure.
GP, we probably lose anyway. But we're in no rush right now. That's the thing about playing Mercs. You have to get this lose streak going, because if you cash out too early, you get mad punished for it, and then you just get weak units on the board with an extra 4 to 6 gold as opposed to like 8 to 10 gold as it was previously. But at 46 HP, we're definitely going to be trying to win before we get to round 4-1.
Yeah, when 4-1s and everyone spikes, it gets a lot harder to win at that point. A lot of players play Mercenaries, and I think Red Nightmare is likely to do that, but I think they might roll it down at 3-5, go 7, try to hit a stable board at that point. So I'd like to see if Red Nightmare does choose to do that, or how far they greed. And I don't think you can really justify greeding for that much longer, because we're already 34 HP, which is very, very low for mid-stage 3. Next round's going to be a big one. Going to decide if Red Nightmare can start to come back, or if they're just going to kind of play free. Maybe I can cash out with 1 HP and scrape up like a 6th place or something.
Yeah, because at that point you can get rock, paper, scissors out of the lobby.
Exactly.
Urgot with the bow is nice. Even though we did get a little bit of a nerf on that scaling, for example, Urgot 2 is still quite good. And it's going to be good with these items as well. Hurricane on Urgot, still best in slot. And the Samira is probably not going to be here for much longer. I'd probably switch in the Urgot for that Samira.
Yeah, probably switches it right now. And the bow is actually fantastic, because even though the ruin's already there, with bow you can either go Last Whisper, I think is pretty great, or you can go Titans, which is a really good Urgot item as well. And yeah, we go level 7. We have about 50 gold to roll with as well. This is big. Mundo, great to go along with that Urgot. Jin Oriana, though, if he rolls a Jin 2, probably would pivot that way. But now a pair of Urgots. Oh no, a pair of Jins. Oh, I hate when this happens.
Oh
Okay,
no.
Urgot
Okay, this
2.
is good. This is good, and we get the MF2
Yeah.
as well. We can wait for the MF2. We have one dummy round, which is like if we lose this round, we could still win round 3-6. But if we lose that round, we're probably going to get eighth. This is really winnable. This is a good matchup here
Yeah.
for a
Oh,
6-loss streak. We should win
the
this
Talon though.
personally, as Talon almost does take down a tier 2 Urgot. Talk about nerfs, my friends, and unfortunately, Talon might be the difference maker here. This looked like a easy win to start, but Talon in that positioning might be a little bit of a
It
difference, and it's going
could
to be
still be a
MF2
win.
versus MF1 and Zyra 1. Oh, the MFL does go off. Is this going to happen again?
Oh, is Zyra?
Oh
Yep.
my goodness. For the
Okay.
second time in a row, it has happened. But one unit, not bad.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say that it's actually not bad at all. Dropping a 30 here is fine. You get another roll here. And you get to actually start improving your board even more. This is the do or die round, though, I would say. Even though you go into stage 4, having Urgot 2 might not be enough to win all these rounds, especially considering there's no frontline items here for Red Nightmare. This board is likely to win, especially with some backline bait now. The Misfortune's kind of protecting that Urgot. Unfortunate that Talon got into the backline and just sniped it away. Going up its Rod level 6, yeah, this should end up being a win here for Red Nightmare.
Unless this Vex gets a good cycle of ultimates going.
Gets that one off.
Gets
Wait, maybe
the
I spoke too soon.
cycle. Oh, Urgot is not in a good place, friends. Oh no! I think this is gonna be
oh,
a.
wait a minute.
Oh
Wait a
no!
minute.
It's still gonna be a win.
The
It's gonna be
zoom
win.
in. Oh, the
Oh,
GA
and the
slam.
GA! Oh, we all said
What?
GA at the same time. GA slam. There are so many words I want to use right now that are inappropriate because that was very mean. That was very mean.
That is the sweatiest play that you could do. Like, there should be, like the TFT community, there's like a rat emote, just Kiyun's face. Like, that was like a rat kind of move right there. That was insane. Red Nightmare does get to keep the lose streak going. Up to 8 at this point, but oh, man, the last 2 rounds, I mean, kind of got robbed. It looks like a little bit there. Needs to win soon. Oh, a glove, perfect. Can last Whisper.
Shroud.
I
love that
there you
shroud.
go, shroud. Yeah.
But we are going to go ahead and put the Last Whisper on. So i.e. Last Whisper, that's going to be very, very helpful. That item combination probably gets us a win in the last 2 rounds. I don't know, but that GA slam, you got to give props for that play. Just in general, nice heads up play.
Oh yeah, I love
as
it.
the Oriana 2 gonna pop in. It reminds me of the Keen Assassin Spat Slam on the Chemtech Overload board, if you remember that.
Oh,
clip.
true. Yeah. Man, roll down a lot of gold there and really only put an Oriana 2 in there with no synergies over a Kog'Maw 1. Might end up being okay, especially if this MF can get her ult off. Yeah, okay, this round should be the win. There's no way he loses this round, right? Yeah.
No, especially with that Oriana ult. Thank goodness.
Yeah, she was a big difference there. Same with the Last Whisper diff, but now we get to see the cash
I was about to call
out.
the police, because of all the robbing that we were seeing right in front of our eyes. We cannot let crime happen so freely.
No, you got to keep Piltover safe.
Exactly. And so Red Nightmare now gets a nice little cash out.
Ooh,
that's a lot of gold,
okay.
1 item, and 8 gold on the bench. We actually probably wanted some components there, but we get the large rod, which can be a little flexible, and we reset our economy. So all of that money that we rolled down on that last round is completely reset right now. We're actually going to level up to 8 and get our 4 bruiser frontline in. This is not a comp that is going to be an auto win per se, especially if we go up against someone who is on fire.
Yeah.
2 Tom Kenches here, then that's 2 Zephyrs pretty much in the front line. And this could be a little bit of a hard one. Everything is looking over at Urgot for sure.
Yep, Urgot has all of the power in his hands, but yeah, it is no problem here.
Knees, dude, in his knees.
Does he even have knee? I mean, yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's got exploding knees. Explode knees.
Explode knees. I've never heard that before in my life. This is a first. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a first.
It's a first.
It's a first. Is Latin America's finest taken some damage, has taken a lot of damage. Wow,
Hey, a
18
Shaco player.
HP, 4 loss streak. And so we're at 18 HP having won at least a round. And that is bad news. I.e. last Whisper for the Shaco. Shaco 3 is we're going to find our carry, though. And we only have 3 syndicates. You want to get up to 5 or even 7 with some augments. I've not ever seen Syndicate
Yeah.
7 lose a lobby still to this day.
Oh, really?
So
I've lost
yeah.
with one. It was pretty
Oh no.
doomed. No, that's another story for another time. It was such a doom. I had more emblems than I had actual items. It was crazy, but
Sometimes it'd be like that.
yeah, I don't think Latim's Finest is gonna get up to Shaco 3 this game. 0 gold, aiming 4 Shakos on 18 HP. This is looking real rough.
Ooh, good Jinx ult. And the positioning for the
Yeah.
Jinx actually almost perfect. The GA for the Shaco should be enough here, but that's close. Well, you're sitting at 18 HP, right? And you have your carry itemized like that. You want to start winning a lot in a row. Unfortunately, that was our first win in the last 4 rounds.
Ooh, okay, good to see a Jace with a spatula. I can actually never look at Jace the same way again after watching Arcane. No spoilers, but like he's just different for me now.
I'm too distracted by the face,
That's fair.
to be honest with you.
That's fair.
If I'm just going to be completely real with everyone in chat, I don't care what Jace does. Anyway, 4-4 now.
That's the hill that you're gonna die on, Boop. I respect it. I respect
exactly.
it.
That's I'm a stan. What can I say? Jace actually brought me back into League of Legends when he came out.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, he's a fun character.
He is. I
played
played a lot of Jace back in the day myself. Yeah, he's fun.
And probably one of the most, like, in terms of like gratifying moves, his ultimate here in the back line, plus if you do it on ARAM, you get that kill after that, after you shoot your
Oh yeah.
fireball.
Shock
So
blast.
yeah, so satisfying.
It is. He's gonna be shooting shock blast here in this fight, but only one, I guess, actually, as the Yone from Darth Nub doing a lot of work. And it's like these Urgot and Yone comps can still be strong. They are noticeably weaker, however. But that one at least was good enough to win the round. Darth Nub still level 7, though, only 20 gold. Needs to start saving up for 8 as we get another gold tier augment. What's it gonna be? Rill is super good. Sunfire board as well. Oh, this is Qualil's Build Different board, but we do have Jason here, which doesn't really synergize well with Build Different because he does give himself a synergy with the Transformer. Also, the Socialites are just serving to buff up the Talon currently.
I mean, there is an argument to say, you know what, Build Different can be invested into certain units as opposed to just trying to
That's
get
true.
as many units on the board as possible, right? Maybe we just keep the synergies elsewhere, except our carry, right? Because we don't need Built Different to win with these synergies other times, right? So maybe the buff is not necessarily for everybody, but some for our invested carries here. For example, on that one, it might be nice to, have some synergies, except for the Urgot, right?
Mhm.
That's probably something that we're thinking about, and Built Difference is going to be explored probably to the end of the set, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
the overarching theme is that there's a couple different ways you can do it, right?
Yeah, I think that there really is, and I think there is an argument, like you were mentioning, with these socialite hexes. Like they're buffing up the Talon right now, which is going to give him extra damage. He doesn't need the mana portion of it, though. Of course, is enough? Oh no, it's not going to be. Qualido's on a 4 loss streak, so this is when you really have to consider. Like, is Build Different just baiting me at this point? Should I pivot into a just generically strong board? Like Leona and Braum 2 frontline, once Braum 2 is found, that might just be good enough to just say goodbye to Build Diff. We'll see, though. Jace just getting tossed on out of there. All right.
Okay, so 3 socialite, another unit that has a self synergy, but everyone who is not a socialite or bodyguard is going to get some help here. So that is like the Zyra, that's the Misfortune. That's why you're seeing that Misfortune last as long as you've seen it. But again, we're investing all of our power into specific units now. We just have to make sure that the unit we're investing it into is going to be able to win us the round. And what I'm seeing right now is a nice Gallia 1, and that's about it in terms of that damage. We have a nice front line. We have good attack damage items, but no one to put them on.
I mean, they're going to be okay for the Misfortune. She can make use out of the Hand of Justice and Rage Blade cast more frequently. Get some nice healing or increased damage. Tom Kench goes in. Galio is sold. Zach comes out though, so at least the Tumkin gets some attack speed and health. This is rough though, I think, for Qualittle. Still not at a solid spot.
Especially with such a great start, right? We would have assumed that the mid game to late game might be a little easier, but Built
Ooh.
Different kind of
Oh.
says something different as we steal around kind of
Yeah, that was
there
so
from
close.
Sphinx. Yep.
Sphinx on 6 Chemtech, 3 Bruiser, awkward synergy numbers. Can perhaps look to there we go, 4 Bruiser. But that was actually just a Vi diff there. I don't know if Sphinx was like rolling down during that turn or what was happening, but I think having the 4 Bruiser HP would have been enough to allow Sphinx that victory. Still only an Urgot 1 feels so painful right now, and Mundo 1. Sphinx has to keep rolling here, right? It's just roll every turn until you hit something. You can't really afford much more losses, especially already being on a 5 streak. Okay, yeah, rolls down a couple more times. It's not going to find anything, though.
That is unfortunate. We're only going to have one more round if we lose this one to find some of our frontliners. Amundo 2 is going to be required. This is going to be nice. Lysandra, especially since she's going to be able to lock down an enemy here, but the Urgot just doesn't really do that much damage up front. Needs a little bit of help. And this is all going to go on to the Arcanist GA again, coming through clutch. It's the second time that we've seen a GA win a round.
No, there's no way Victor could do it. Oh man, even with all those Hex Tech augments, not enough Hex Tech in the world can save him from Mundo. The Shimmer is a bit too strong there. But okay, another pair of Victors. Oh man, this is so rough.
Mm-hmm. You know, unfortunately, we kind of want threes a crowd here instead of pairs for Sphinx, and we're going to need to potentially just lose by 1 unit again, because I'm not really sure what comp this beats without a tier 2 Urgot, without a tier 2 Victor, without a tier 2 Zach, without a tier 2 Mundo. There's still a lot to go here for Sphinx. The fact that we're still around actually at 13 HP is pretty nice, and this is the comp that we want.
Yeah, he's just going
looking at us at the other side.
He's going back to back against Urgot 2 Mundo 2s. He's like, where's mine? Where's mine at? I feel cheated right now. And I mean, yeah, it's just unfortunate. You're just the player who didn't hit. So it's hard to contest all these comps. The loss isn't going to be by that bad, though. So Sphinx might actually have cheated another life. Yes, he will survive. Now he's on his last elimination point. Qualittle very, very quickly following. Build Different has fallen off, definitely, at this point.
Mm-hmm. And Rob has lost 20 HP in 2 rounds. So that really means the rest of the lobby has finally started to stabilize, but the attrition has been done. Rob's pretty much guaranteed a top 4 at this point, even if we lose the rest of the rounds. But I mean, these lobbies have been pretty quick. We, I think, have only had 1 go to round 7. The last game, especially with the Tactician's Crown, ended real quickly, as there's a lot of damage going forward. As we pick up a couple items here, now the Runins are coming into play. We have some Urgots, but we're probably also seeing some other auto attack based units because things like Yone, things like Jinx can use the Runins very, very well. Zeke's one of the highest win rate items in the game. A little bit of a crazy stat because if you're building Zeke's, it usually means you've already built all the other items that you need.
True.
Right? You're probably in a good position already if you're buying Zeke's, but still, it's gonna always benefit you, right? You're always gonna get the benefit, and it's gonna help a lot for units like Urgot, who's gonna get a flat damage increase from it.
100%. So it's going to be put on the Jace here. And I was actually considering, A-Rat with that Jinx. Usually players would replace the Kog'Maw 2 with the Jinx 1, but it's actually not going to be better here because of the specific mutant buff that gives Omnivamp to all the mutants, or to the whole board, excuse me. And Urgot's going to be one of those mutants. He's going to benefit from the Omnivamp, and he doesn't really have any pure lifesteal items. He does have the Thrill, though, but it's not enough. NYU's built a very nice board with it. Tom Kench 2, Jin, and others. Qualittle does go out in 7th. Built Different was not good enough for the top 4. But Sphinx hangs on with 4 HP.
Hangs on.
Oh, he hit Urgot too.
Yep, and that's actually pretty crazy because 6 Urgots were already out of the board, so there is a less 50% chance to get a single Urgot rather than 3 more of them. So 9 out of the 11 Urgots are gone at this point.
Let's see, Darth Nub with Assassin Samira. She's gonna get on top of the Urgot so quickly and take him down to half. He does heal up though, because if you remember, Thrill the Hunt is a thing. Yone is still not good enough to contest this composition. Darth Nub's gonna fall pretty low here, but still not be eliminated. Sphinx and Red Nightmare though. So watch the right hand side. One of them might fall. Sphinx wins the round, but it's only by 1 or 2 units because Red Nightmare is now at 4 HP. Oh, this is so close here. This is so stressful for our potential bottom 4 players. Oh boy, no one is safe.
This is going to be the difference between 4th and 6th. That's a lot of points. At least we get a PvE round right now with the Dragon. It's going to be Infinity Edge here. That could go on someone like the Jace, no problem. Jeweled Gauntlet for NYU.
Some IEs there, but Rob hit Lux 3. So maybe the rest of the lobby is just playing for second place here, it's looking like.
Oof, but that's unfortunate. Say Darth Nub hits the Lux 3, Sphinx hits Nightmare, right? The Lux 3 is probably going to take more HP away from you. So we are definitely going to be matchup dependent right now as well, as we do have the sister buff online for Red Nightmare. Jinx 2, double Runins along with the Death Cap. Usually that looks really weird, but this Yoda in particular is going to be really nice with that, especially with the sister buff, which is going to increase the damage from Jinx and the range from Vi.
Yep. Oh man, okay, fortunately for other players in the lobby, the Lux doesn't have any mana items, no blue buff, it's just the IE Jewel Gauntlet, but does mean that whatever she touches will die, and Red Nightmare is hovering on the surrender button. That is just tilt. It's so tangible. It's so unfortunate, this matchup. Maybe there's a way if this Jinx can get the ult off. Let's see. Oh, she gets right in front of that Lux beam though. Oh no, it is not looking good. The Lux does end up falling. Could the Mundo actually be enough here? I don't think so.
We do have GA. Did the GA already proc?
I don't think so.
So we're gonna hit overtime.
Close.
And overtime is our worst nightmare. We didn't even need it, as we actually get eliminated instead. That's going to be a -10. Sphinx, actually, oh my goodness, 1 HP. Darth Nub is going to take 4th place, and Sphinx is going to lose out on a whole point because of 1 HP, and Nightmare loses the straight up tiebreak, the triple tiebreaker. Because I think you have to get to 3 tie breaks in order to have the same HP there. But now we do have our top 3 now, and they're going to filter out here really quickly as they kind of rock, paper, scissors each other.
And just think about that point swing, Boop. It's 6 points versus like 3-point swing with just 1 unit of difference, right? If that Vex went down from the Mundo, it would have been a 4th place. That would have been 6 points. It is not to be the case here. Unfortunate stuff for Red Nightmare, but this Lux 3, man, it's so strong. It's gonna one-shot the whole back line.
24 million damage. Do you see that? 24, 28 million damage that time. Oh my. 31 billion damage coming from Lux that time around. Those are numbers you can't even fathom.
Yeah, it was 22 trillion damage overall on the Lux there over that fight. It was crazy. Just these numbers, man.
Man, they almost seem fake. Imaginary numbers are
major,
real.
By the way.
Yeah, I know, right?
English major and music majors, by the way.
We're probably the least prepared for something like that. But yeah, we now have the socialites up. The Galio 2 is going to be a really nice frontlining tank. You don't need any other ones, and we were already feeling pretty good about this. Yeah. This is there is no legendary orb. That is something that happens occasionally when you play Yordles, I believe.
Yeah, it's baits you. You cannot pick the orb. If you see this orb there, don't yell at streamers to pick up the orb. They can't.
I think it's actually what the Hextech things are coded as.
Maybe.
Because they always pop up at that exact spot. But anyway, Lux is going to do 21 billion damage. Yeah. Just 700,000 damage that time around. But the 2 Jinx 2s now, one with IE.
This fight's
and
close.
We'll take down the Jinx. That's going to be it. NYU falls to 3 HP. A rat at 16. And Rob, good old Rob Ivan Kenob. At 48 HP.
Yeah, I have no idea how to pronounce his name, actually. If anyone knows, please enlighten us. But I thought it was like maybe Robavan Kenob? Maybe? But I don't know. I'm just going to call them Rob.
Yeah. It's a good name.
It is. little bit of carousel lag there. Taking the blue buff though, and that blue buff is exactly what they needed for the Lux. Actual perfect item. No one denied it. Minus points for everybody else in the lobby. Feels bad, man. That should have been denied.
Maybe we had a little bit of giving up.
Yeah, true. You're probably not going to win regardless.
Yeah, and so why don't we just win a little faster, maybe? As this Lux probably beats as a comp as a ghost as well. So
I mean,
we could
yeah.
potentially get a double elimination. Rat will probably make it to the next round, but it depends on how good this Lux is. It can one-shot everyone on this board, and it is going to be a Rat versus Rob.
Oh, the Jinx.
Oh my
no.
goodness.
Jinx, what are you doing? You walked right on into it. A-Rat is going to take a huge loss here, a double kill as well. NYU in third, A-Rat in second, but Rob with Lux 3 securing our first place for that game. Score is going to get shaken up a little bit, but A-Rat once again top twos in a game. That's only been first or second so far.
I think.
Yeah.
Are we going to say it? We are on record-breaking pace right now for a Rat. We have to win the next game in order to beat Marcel P's 37 points. That was here, I think, at the beginning of last set.
Yeah. We cannot beat it. Let's take a look at the scores just to make sure we're.
Oh, yeah.
There, yeah, 26 points currently. Okay. So you can tie a 36 at this point, which would be absolutely remarkable performance. But it's really just a race for second, I think, for all these other players. Maybe we'll see if any crazy things happen. But Darth Nub in second with 19, NYU and Rob tied in third with 18 points, and then Sphinx with 12, Quad Little with 11, Red Nightmare with 10, and Lat Am's Finest with 9 points. Still a pretty even spread in the bottom four there. It's definitely a huge separator between the top four and the bottom four, so I'm not sure anyone can really sneak up in there. I think it is really just Darth Nub, NYU, and Rob playing for, top three there, with A-Rat just looking to not have a horrendous game four and secure that victory.
Okay, so going into the last lobby, third place is going to be a race, right? We have 18 points for third and fourth place. And basically, if you're in the top four, where you finish is going to be where you end. So you just got to beat the person that you're tied with if you are in third place. And that is going to be Robbie Van Knob, I think is how you're supposed to say it.
Is it Robbie or Roby? Is it Kenob or Kenob? I don't know.
Well, it might be Robe. It might be like an Obi-Wan Kenobi situation.
It's probably Roby.
Yeah, so Roby Van Knob. There's going to be how we're going to do it. But yeah, playing really well. And basically, I've had 3 different lobby winners so far today, too, which again goes to show how flexible things can be. We got to see Urgot that time around from a couple different boards, and very, very obviously weaker just overall. Those Chemtechs are pretty dependent on that Urgot right now. I wonder if that's going to be the case, if we're going to see a little bit of love for Urgot in the next patch, or if we're going to give some time to him, because it does seem like it was almost there. Maybe we just have to be a lot more specific on the itemization.
That is true. Itemization. Let's see how much it's going to play a factor. Oh, gold. 6 gold for A-Rat in the beginning. I love that A-Rat has the mutant thing at the top. We can maybe even just count on A-Rat to always scout out the mutant for us if the admins aren't doing it. Shout out to admins in the back end, Yenwei, and making sure we know what mutant it is in the game, because don't have spectator mode for fight nights, unfortunately, but that's okay. In the future, soon one TM. Day.
TM.
Soon TM.
Soon TM. All right. We're going back to a Rat. And once the Rat knows the mutant, he'll put that up. So we'll probably stay around until we do get that mutant. Sword will be our start. Here is our augment. Phony frontline.
There's only one option here. It's Phony frontline.
Yeah, and we are going to keep it up. We have the option to go Yordles, so we could do that tempo Yordle if we want with the Poppy opening, but we've got a ton of options right now. It's like we just entered the grocery store, right? And we're kind of just big-eyed right now.
Yeah, when you go to the grocery store when you're hungry, that's the worst. Then there's way too many options.
That's
and you
why
want
you buy
all of
things.
them.
That's how you buy things you're allergic to, my friends.
Have you done that
I'm really
before?
good at that. Oh, for sure.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I go there and I'm like, I want this pizza. This pizza will will make you hate yourself for the next 3 days. I don't care. I'm hungry.
It sounds good enough right now. That is a problem for future me to, deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Once you hit your 30s, once
Yeah.
you get
Oh,
the
no.
wrinkles like I do, things like allergies become whole day-long adventures.
I'm never gonna turn 30. I'm just staying in my 20s for my whole life, and
My mom's been
no one can
29
tell
for
me
like 30
otherwise.
years. That's crazy.
That's what I aspire to be, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, she looks great. Anyway, I hope I look as good as my mom when I'm her age, man. She's one of those people that'll spend like 2 hours doing her like facial routine, right? And
Yeah.
like she does it every single day, takes care of herself. And I hope one day I could, do that self-care type of thing. It's probably really good for her mental health.
Self-care? What's that? I don't.
I know.
Okay, we're getting too early here. Focus on the game. Focus on the game.
Yeah, speaking of self-care, we got the blue buff on the TF. That's some self-care there.
That is.
Because usually blue buff is a little bit of a bricked item, except on a couple of AP units to start. And this is one of them. And this is a very, very obvious kind of Arcanist Lux situation, especially with the blue buff.
Yeah. Blue buff is great for TF opener. Morello's is kind of the second best, maybe even first best item, blue buff being second. And it's going to be a Syndicate Heart for Rob as well, which I'm not sure if it is correct to fully lean into the Syndicate tree with this kind of opener. I think there is an argument to pivot on out of it later and just play this as a good early game. But oh man, Katarina 2, I mean, do you just pivot out of it right now? Yeah. Cat 2, a bit too good. A bit too good to pass up on with a blue buff early.
2 can also be it's so funny because she actually reminds me of Sona from previous sets.
Really?
Especially if you put the Hextech Gunblade on her.
Sure.
She can be a little bit of a health printer, as well as a little bit of damage. Well, not a little bit, a lot of damage.
A lot of damage,
when
yeah.
it comes to the assassin. And we are going to brick our syndicate for now. Not my favorite spat in the world, but it does open up the possibility of 7 syndicates, which is guaranteed top 4 at the very, very least. A lot of Katarina damage, but a lot of tier 2 tankiness on the other side. And Robbie Van Knob is going to take the L there.
Taking the L, and it really sucks because if you hit a kind of quote unquote high roll opener like that steers you away from your augment choice, it's basically like you're just playing without an augment, which is such a bad feeling, right? Imagine if that was like a academy like heart or something like that, right? To just give the academy buff, that fight, I don't know if it would have gone fully the other way, but it would have at least killed more units. Just not gonna be the case there. So we'll have to see if they're gonna pivot on back to syndicates a bit later. As we do move on over to Darth Nub, who's only playing the synergy of Socialite, and this is not a build different opener. It is the Celestial Blessing there.
Celestial Blessing, the augment that you swear is not working.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it does. Oh man, I agree so hard actually.
Right, it's just one of those things. It's funny how we all kind of land on the same thing, right? And then I'm like, oh, my Samira is gaining health back, and I don't have a Bloodthirster. It must be Challenger, right? No, it is going to be the Celestial Blessing there, as we do find another L as our bottom 3 take 2 losses in a row, 3 for Latin America's finest at 80 HP. That's pretty low, moderately low right now. We've seen much lower so far. So no one getting wiped in these early games rounds so far.
Latin America, or LATAM's finest, had a good game number 1, was 3rd, but then back-to-back 8ths may have put their run of getting top 4 a bit too far out of reach. But it does happen, Boop. The bottom place, or one of the bottom place players, likes to play spoiler in game number 4. So we could see that comeback potential.
Always. And whoever goes into the last one. You know what's so funny is when we were going into the Piltover Cup, they had their whole last lobby winner doesn't do well thing either. Did you notice that?
True.
Necro was like, oh, the first place curse. And I'm like, it's here too.
What the curse follows. We were both there. We just channeled the energy. We're just
yeah, exactly. Which is, if anyone is wondering, basically, if you're winning going into the last lobby, you're gonna bottom 2 in that lobby. Especially if your name is Salvi. Sorry, that was mean.
Oh, no.
That was really mean. I love Salvi, but that was an appropriate metaphor, actually.
Happens very often.
Yeah, because he, I think, has fallen victim to that curse a little bit too often to where I'm in pain. Salvi's such a good player too.
Oh
It'll
yeah,
happen one day.
that was great.
It'll definitely happen one day. The Chicago Cubs won a World Series, right? Salvi and Soji will be able to win a Worlds one day as well.
Soju, wow, tournament Soju, Keck W, but he's been doing better recently. Overall, not quite in the final
Yeah,
day of Piltover Cup, but it
it
happens. And
happens.
Katarina 2s apparently happen everywhere in this game, as we see another one come through. And Sphinx playing an early game like we so love to see it. 100 HP, looking to make it a full streak into the Krugs.
That is what you want to see if you're Sphinx, and Sphinx definitely needs a win and a little bit of help. I don't think it's mathematically impossible, but it's going to be very hard. He needs to finish 6 places ahead of Roby and Darthnub, I believe.
Roby and NYU are tied at 18.
NYU.
Darthnub's at
Okay.
19. So yeah, if NYU and Roby both go like bottom 2, and Sphinx can get like first, he could get into the top 3. I guess it's mathematically possible. Just pretty unlikely. But hey, you got to play for your win conditions, right? Can't ever count yourself out if there is a way to win.
Ooh, man, if that was a 1v3, Camille actually might win that. Unfortunately for Sphinx, we lose at the worst possible time, which is the round before Krugs.
Yep, no 100 HP. Not sure if anyone fully 5 lost streaked either. Latim's finance is down at 70. Yone being naturaled in a level 5 shop. That is pretty big. It might just be a Yone commit even as early as this for Sphinx. It's not bad, right? It's going to be better than a Samira 1 with just a bow. I like the potential. Wow, could even just sell this Echo to make sure that you make economy, then play a Graves for Academy? No, okay, it's not going to be quite that. I would personally consider making that play. Just, I mean, econ. Whenever there's a chance to make econ, it's just like, it's so tempting.
Me too. I like making econ. I will sacrifice power to make econ,
Yeah.
just because it's compulsive. Sometimes where you need that extra gold, and maybe it's fine if you don't sell your 1-cost unit because you're about to tier 2 it, right? But we are going to get a assassin spat already, gonna be online and available, which might be good for someone like Yone. This changes a lot, actually.
Wow, yeah, I mean, assassin potential. There's a lot of potential for Arcanist, for Academy. But it's going to be a Hand of Justice Slam for the Yone. It could be Titans as well, actually. I low-key think Titans Resolve is maybe best in slot Yone. Wow. Okay, nothing that just happened, I think, was what I expected, especially including that Locket Slam.
What a sentence, especially with those words on that particular order that you just used, Crowan. Everything I just saw was unexpected. That's either awesome or unfortunate, right?
We'll see. I actually don't know which way it's going to be either.
Right now, it's going to be awesome since we're going to win out this round with a duo challenger, 2 bodyguard, 1 socialite comp. But we don't have a lot of damage. So eventually, this attrition-based win will fall off. It looks like we have cybernetics as well for our augment, so we're going to get some extra health. Yep. Now we're moving on over to Latim's finest, and we have the Blitzcrank, which actually really, it's so crazy to think about Blitzcrank just not being there at the end of the game, as back in set 2, Blitzcrank was a constant thing you had to think about going into late game. But because of its 2 cost and the fact that it's a protector, we're not seeing a ton of Blitzcrank.
Protector, scrap, like the synergies that are like okay in niche scenarios, but not really consistently in endgame boards. They will always be there if we're seeing a protector reroll player. Of course, protectors, right? We're gonna keep Blitzcrank in that composition, just not usually. This board, Latim's Finest is on a 6 loss streak actually, so did full loss streak, was on 70, now 62. Takes out not 1 more unit, but still 52 with a 7 loss streak is not bad. Definitely could be worse. The question is, how do you stabilize though with this kind of board, especially given the fact that you have a mutant heart and mutant cybernetic, which is generally seen as not the best. It did get buffed. Okay, we're just going full into the mutant tree here for Latim's Finest, and we get a Cho'Gath, and we roll past it. All right.
It's like I'm playing.
I mean, I guess you can get 5 mutant without it because of the Malzahar, but still, it's interesting to say the least. I'm not really sure what to make of it, honestly. Fully.
All right.
It's so many stats with the cybernetic for these mutants.
Okay, we got a couple. We got some help when it comes to the mutants from our augments too. Is we got double mutant related augments.
Yep.
Whenever you get to stack things like that, that's really nice. It kind of makes you feel like your third augment is going to be able to stack too. It's like when you get the mercenary heart, and then you get the gold. Mercenaries drop gold
Mm.
when they beat, and then maybe you do the for every gold is an extra percent of
Oh, if you get
attack
all of
damage,
those, oh god, it's
right?
yeah,
And
so
which has
good.
happened to me before. Those are the best mercenary games. But you know they're rare, but that might happen here, especially since you have the basis of the mutant augment. So your last augment is going to be a lot easier to kind of combo with them, as it's going to be RFC IE on the Kog'Maw doing a lot of damage. So some of these low cost 1 and 2 cost units, I'm thinking of Twitch from the first 2 lobbies, and now Kog'Maw putting in some work.
Definitely putting in some good work there. Lighthouse Finest also didn't level up to 6, which pretty much everybody else is going to be on 6 here. Besides Recall a little, actually. So, curious to see what they are rocking with a bit later. Mundo with a bow, not fantastic. Urgot with a belt, though, you can make some use out of that. Could, pop off the belt with a Chemtech emblem. We'll see what happens there a bit later. But I wonder what Latam's finest plan is. We're rolling on 5 so hard to just stabilize the board. Like, where do you really go from there? Is it just going to remain to be Kog'Maw the whole time? It doesn't really scale that well with IE. RFC is a bit of a weird slam as well. I wonder.
Okay, so we have trade sector.
Yep,
No,
trade
yeah,
sector.
trade
Yep.
sector, and so we're gonna get a free reroll, just one, at the beginning of every round. Plus, we got a bruiser heart, so we only need the 3 in the front line. The Mundo is going to be nice, but once we get to round 4, 3, 4, 4, we definitely want to start tier 2ing our 4 cost units. We're running Mercs, and remember, the last time Red Nightmare ran Mercs, he got robbed out of 2 rounds, based off of probably one of the best plays we've seen at Fight Night, which was the GA
Oh yeah,
play.
the GA was nuts. So sweaty.
Yeah, and then just like some bad targeting and positioning on the round before that.
Zach, not good enough to take down any more units, it looks like. Red Nightmare's gold's also in a pretty weak spot. We on 3-5, level 6, 30 gold. Not great, especially considering running Mercenary and the board isn't that strong. The opportunity for recovery is pretty slim, I think.
All right. We only have 2 on our loss streak, and usually we're trying to cash out at this point. So I wonder if we're going to keep our mercenaries in. IE Last Whisper on Samira does look like best in slot. But again, a lot of people bailed on the Samira as she did get nerfed in this last patch, but it is a nice challenger to go along with the Quinn in these Merc comps.
Oh yeah, definitely. She's going to be able to get you some unit kills, and she's still going to be a decent mid-game item carrier. See how good it is versus Sphinx, who, okay, now does have the Yone and the Academy emblem. And, oh wow, also the Spat's still there. So it was Academy emblem coming through with just the augment choice. Finds the Yone. Still only on 30 gold, though. These players are just sacrificing economy so hard this game. It's going to work out for Sphinx, and maybe going to work out for Red Nightmare as well, as they are, running mercenaries. Losses are okay. But in order to cash out, we got a long, long way to go.
Cool Little has already fallen a long way, but this has been a little bit of the story of the last 3 lobbies, which is top heavy and then evens out as time goes on, as the bottom part of our leaderboard does seem to
Oh,
stabilize. But if you are Sphinx, this is not what you want to see right now, in terms of trying to get into that top 3, as everyone who is in that top 3 doing pretty much what they need to do
yeah.
at the moment, as Kwa Little now needs some help from these wolves. Just like our friend Red Nightmare, we are running those mercs, and we're on a 6-game lose streak, and we're going to be entering
Oh,
round
God.
4-1. We got a Nico's on the board and a lot of bows. You got
That's
those bows
too many
there? You're throwing
bows.
some bows?
So,
And 88 gold.
So Qua Little is playing Rich Get Richer to its most greedy value, right? We're actually sitting on 70 gold so that we can make econ. But I think a lot of players see that as playing Rich Get Richer ineffectively. I think it's kind of a bait to maximize the econ you get out of it. Unless you're like so ahead, so insanely ahead that it doesn't matter. But Quad Little obviously wasn't very ahead. They're in fact really behind, 20 HP. They rolled down half of their gold tier to hit what? A Samira 2, a Yone 1. It's not even like they're that much stronger than they just were. There's 40 more golds left to roll, and probably that should be rolled here in this next round because this Katarina is just popping off. Like, this is Scarra in his prime on Katarina right here. It's Qual Little Sims, it's on 14 HP.
Oh man, he was a professional mid laner.
Yeah, he was. Dignitas, back in the day. It was crazy.
Yeah.
He was good.
Real good during the time of like the Scarra, I'm a cutie pie.
Oh yeah. Voyboy.
Yeah, Voyboy.
It was like Kiwi Kid on the team at some point.
Man, that's really dating us.
Yeah. Oh no. Are we boomers?
It's like you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh, I'm a boomer.
Oh god.
Oh no, it's happened.
No, please. All right, mercenaries still.
It might date us. It might date us, but at least we found real people who actually date us. So.
That's true. That's fair. We're doing something right. Not sure what it is, but something.
Yeah. I still don't know. I guess all the I was talking about sacrificing to get Akali too.
Yeah.
Same thing can apply to your relationships. It's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten. If you need a relationship, all you have to do is set up a salt circle, right? And just do a little bit of a chant, right? And you have to think and be intentional, and then you can summon the love of your life. That's what I did.
Love of Kuala Little's life needs to be Samira here, as 2 Samiras away from having Samira 3. That's certainly going to be a long-lasting relationship, at least for the rest of this game.
Yeah. I love
That's
it.
not very long-lasting, but long enough in TFT terminology, of course. 4 Challenger, 3 Merc, 3 Imperials. Not bad. Kuala Little does cash out the 3 Mercs. Good to see what was in store there. If it's more Nikos, that's big.
Mm-hmm. That opens up a tier 2/5 cost unit super early, or a tier 3 unit, and that is going to be more Nikos and 2 items with that Thieves Gloves. We're going to natty the Quinn.
Okay.
So we need
one
more Samira if we want to double Nikos, or a single 1% hit on a legendary at level 7, if that's where we want to go.
Keep rolling, please. Okay, honestly, maybe in midway through stage 4, this is like stable enough. We have the Samira, but yeah, I think it actually is correct to roll a bit more to distribute those Nikos very effectively. Yone 2, Samira 2 at this point. These rounds are likely to be wins. There's a cast in 3 though, so Vlad M's Finest was going for a Protector reroll. It is not strong enough, though, at this point, but I really want to see what Quad Little lands on in the next turn of rolling, because if they hit a Fiora 2 and 1 more Samira, you can just Samira 3 and save the Nikos for something else down the line, and try to push levels with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have Sphinx losing out, a Rat stabilizing, Roby Van Kenobi at 80 HP and on fire, and a 25 HP lead over third place. So they're feeling good, and there is going to be a spat of
it could have been Challenger Emblem, but okay, we're not going to be that placed. Not going to go to 8 Challenger or anything like that.
Challenger Talon's pretty good.
It is. I like it a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so if that was a direction, that could have been it, especially since we could have tier 3'd it.
They're going to be RFC Yone, I think, instead, with the bow choice there. Gotta wait for everyone to pick on the carousel. Now we can go back to the board, and okay, just naturally hit the Fiora and the Swain there, so that will be a double Nikos coming through, I would imagine, for Kuala Little. We will see on the right-hand side soon. We do move over to Darth Nub's board, who's playing a really good just early win streak.
Yeah, that Katarina
there we go, Smear 3.
Scary. To say the least. The value of GA seems to be so much higher in this set than it was last set. It wasn't even an item last set. This set, however, it really does seem to be a little bit more like the GA of old, which is give you a little bit of extra time to get to that last ult in that 1v1 to win, right? And we've already seen that happen a couple times now, as a lot of damage is going on to the Chemtex, but all of them are starting to get that Chemtech buff. And that's a pretty good toss on the Cap. She's going to come right back, and we do have a little bit of healing too. That's that celestial healing that I swear doesn't ever work, but is there. And it's going to be a big reason why we actually win this out. That little bit of healing is going to help us at least just only win by 1 or lose by 1 unit here, as Darth
Yeah.
Nub is going to fall to the Mundo, and Mr. Mundo. I'm sorry, sir, Dr. Mundo,
Dr. Mundo.
PhD,
Yeah.
is
He's very proud
a
about
good
it,
unit.
okay?
Yeah, it's a good unit. Esquire, Dr. Mundo Esquire.
Getting fancier. Oh, another prismatic augment coming through here. Crazy times we do have here on Fight Night Rising. See what the choices are going to be. Qualitl is a fantastic board. 2 bodyguards, 2 scholars, 2 clockworks. Scholars could low-key be okay, but so can bodyguards, I suppose. That's what Darth Nub's choice is going to be, especially considering the fact that there are so many strong attack damage-focused boards. I do like this choice.
This is actually a new augment order. I believe they added 6 new combinations of augments, and the silver gold prismatic one is new. I'm a little surprised that it wasn't already there. Feels kind of obvious.
That's true.
But right. But there are people smarter than me that needed it to make it on this particular patch, but it is going to be really nice, especially when the prismatic emblems are last. They're going to have good amount of impact, and everyone's going to be pretty flexible on how they use it. It really is when they come in first that can be pretty difficult, as the Nikos have been used now on the other side of this board. Tier 3 Samira, Tier 2 Yone, who almost got bursted down almost immediately there by the Katarina, but there's no more HP, and usually rounds are starting to go faster now, but that was very quick.
That was super quick. Qualitl on a 4 streak now is on fire. I mean, all those upgrades are just absolutely fantastic. Now we get to see the power of a Kali, or at least potentially the power of a Kali, as it looks like she's going to win this board with the help of the other syndicates here. Execute coming soon, doesn't even need it. But A-Rat takes the loss, as Roby gonna be trying to get on a win streak. But my gripe is, Boop, you know how we had the prismatic augment coming last, but it's in the middle of the augment order that we see on the thing here. So that always trips me up. I'm like, wait, which augment was first? I never remember, because it scuffs.
Nothing will ever be as bad as having the number 1 available for your HP or experience.
Oh, yeah.
Because of Bard back in the day. Ooh, a tome.
That is potentially very nice. A-Rat's running a plethora of different 2-piece synergies, even a 1-piece, of course, with just the Yuumi.
Mm-hmm.
But what's this tome going to give?
We should use Cornucopia. It's more thematic for the next week or so.
Clockwork's nice. Enforcer is okay. Do already have 2 Enforcer in, but means that we can drop the Fiora. Or play 4 Enforcer, potentially? Question mark.
4 Enforcer is really good if you're able to get there in a kind of simple way. You don't ever want to force 4 Enforcer.
Yeah, and it feels kind of like forcing it here.
Yeah.
Enforcer Yuumi. She's the Enforcer that you will fear. Enforcer Yuumi. Feel the cat's
Maybe that's
wrath.
the secret. How funny would it be if it unlocked a move?
Yeah, right.
Or
another arcane, spoiler that set 6 is.
Yeah, Yumi's actually in Arcane.
Yeah, true. Mortdog has been trolling. He comes around being like, "Oh yeah, Yumi's gonna kill the big bad in episode 7 or something." Where it's obviously it's a troll, but Yuumi isn't set 6.
Riot, Steven Riot Mortimus.
Riot Mortimus.
Riot Mortimus Steven Mortdog.
That's his real name, yeah.
Yep.
Confirm.
It's I saw the birth certificate. That's what's on there.
Zach
2. Might not be the flashiest of ultimates in the world, but Zach is a very nice frontliner, especially to go with things like the Mundo. Mundo's not going to be doing any CC. Mundo's going to be doing a lot more stat checking in terms of the defense, just like he is on the Rift. He's the ultimate stat check on the Rift. But Zach is someone who is not going to be as tanky, but will provide a good amount of utility. His CC is actually pretty brutal if you do get grabbed. That's a long time to be out of the fight, and you're going to be brought closer to the damage as well.
Definitely. Ooh, Akali jumps into the back line here at a very good spot. See if she gets some executes off soon. Urgot's trying to turn his focus over to her, but she's jumping here, there, and everywhere. Takes out the Urgot. Mundo, though, has a Bramble.
If you
He's
don't
going to
kill
tank
the
for a very long
Akali,
time.
in the first 5 seconds, you're probably going to lose the round.
Yeah,
Because
she's
once we
popping
do get
off.
into overtime, the Mundo should fall no problem.
He's taking out a few units though, but yeah, he should fall over here soon. Just doesn't do enough damage. I mean, we're in the same spot as I think it was Sphinx was in either the last game or 2 games ago, but being on, Urgot 1, Mundo 1. It's still okay, but fortunately getting at least one upgrade here. Mundo 2, the doctor is here.
Dr. Mundo Esquire version 2 in the front line right now.
Yeah.
We're doing a little bit of the worm with our little legend too, because we're just so excited. Mundo 2 is worth dancing as well, because I don't want to talk, I just want to dance.
True.
Also one of the greatest songs out there.
There you go. Just dance. The lobby HPs are very close as well. I think that's something to note. Between ARAT and third and LATAM's finest, it's just a 18 HP gap with 6 different positions.
Yeah, usually someone has been eliminated at this point, but all 8 players still here at 8-3. Chemtech Jace pushing a lot of damage, Rageblade, and then Chemtech Jinx going to be the one that they're going to have to deal with. But these it looks like Jace is throwing baseballs right now over to Dr. Mundo Esquire, Athlete of the Year right now, as the Thornmail is really delaying the departure of this train, but it's going to end up being the same kind of loss anyway.
Yeah, it will be. Can hang on for only so long with the Eternal Winter as well, the Ornn artifact. We had 2 eliminations come through, LATAM's finest, and again, another string of bad games. No comeback, really. No playing spoiler. Sphinx as well drops. Not a Sphinx performance that I expected to see here today.
Sphinx owning one of the longest streaks in Fight Night history. I think either the 3rd or 4th longest streak at like 7, 8, or 9 weeks in a row. When you give that many numbers, is it worth talking about it? Maybe not, but just wanted to point it out as the sacrifice has been made. The Salt Circle was not broken, and we did finish our summoning of Akali 2. Again, there's the same amount of copies of Akali as any other legendary unit, but it doesn't feel like it. As Akali 2 does make an appearance here with some good items too. The GA, again, if we res and say the person that we're going up against after we res is below 50 HP, that's a win for Akali. So going up against this team comp, though, there's a lot of HP here. It might be a little tough, but the first ult goes on to Jinx, which is almost best case scenario.
Yeah, arguably best in slot Akali as well. Can't get bursted, has the GA, has blue buff and IE to make sure the casts come through. Needs to get to the rest of these boards, executes the Jinx, gets eaten by Tahm Kench, but that won't fully kill her. She pops out of the hungry frog stomach. And, oh man, actually might not be enough to win. Is not. Mundo, Urgot, Tahm Kench still gonna be a thorn in Akali's side.
Overtime, once again, being a little bit of a nuisance, actually more than a nuisance, a detriment to our Mundo so far. As old school TFT, that Mundo probably draws out that round. But in this version of TFT, especially with 5 people here, possibly at round 6-1, which is almost unheard of. The Akali is kind of what everyone's paying attention to right now. It's one of the first tier 2-5 cost units that we have, and the itemization is really good, and it's also Syndicate 7, right? Remember we said the Syndicate heart would only be good if we got to 5 or 7, and here we are. Again, I have not seen Syndicate 7 lose. Crowan did get to play a losing version of it. We'll see if on Fight Night it's going to maintain its undefeated streak.
Yeah, we'll find out here. 7 Syndicate is super good. This Akali is going to absolutely go crazy. Going up against NYU, though. NYU has maybe not the strongest Chemtech Urgot board. Akali might go for the execute here, and okay, does get the kill regardless. But it might not be enough. These Mundos with Brambles. Is it?
It's enough. It's enough.
Yeah, it is. That was a little close.
Once we get into overtime, it should be good to go, even though this is being moderately complicated.
There we go.
But that is going to be an elimination. We have a top 4 losing like that when you know it's going to happen, when you're pretty much just walking the plank.
It's the worst.
For the Mundo to die is the worst. But 42-36, 4-4 here as we get a triple item dragon
Yeah.
We would have loved to re-roll these 3 items, but we're gonna stick with them, and they're not awful, right? We can put the lockets on someone like Yumi and the Morellos on someone like Misfortune or even the Oriana.
Overall, this is very detrimental to ARAT because of the fact that we have makeshift armor. You actually don't want
Oh,
more
that's true.
items that you put on people, but it's okay. You put a locket onto the back line, a locket onto the front line with the Leona, then Morello's onto the Yumi, so you don't actually get to lose much more value. And Morello's Yumi is good. Lockets definitely could be something a bit better, though. But ARAT 4 HP. Believe with this, top 4 has secured first place overall in the night. Top 4 every single game. Very well played. Let's see how much farther they could take it.
Whew, man, 2 players on elimination station at the moment. The Yumi is going to go on to the tank. It might miss a couple units if we ult from here, but we actually already killed them all. This Jhin doing a ton of damage right now, and it might be more than enough here. It's just Urgot just isn't as good.
Oh, yeah, that's a big win there. Red Nightmare
Yeah,
minus
yeah.
17. ARAT secures top 3.
This should still be a win for Akali.
Yep.
GA hasn't procced yet either, so yeah, that's good to go. And that's the thing about Syndicate 7, this happens a lot. It's kind of a slow win when you get up there, but there's not a lot more power that Syndicate 7 can do other than some just common upgrades. But we're going to try our best here going up against it, as ARAT now sitting at 4 HP, definitely looking up at the other 2 boards right now.
Going up against a Lux board and an Akali board, and that means that positioning is going to be almost impossible to get right versus both of them, because you have to place, away from the Akali, but also opposite side, or not opposite side of the Lux. You want to be same side as Lux. It's hard. Runs into Roby, and yeah, the Akalis are jumping into the back line right where you don't want her to be.
Oh man, and this particular setup of a backline is exactly what Akali wants. Look, just went through about 4 units, almost gets caught by the target dummy, but man, the sound effects for Akali are so cool too. So you get to like really enjoy these wins. A Syndicate 7 will knock out a rat right now, but should finish out on top of the leaderboard. But it's going to be Academy versus Syndicate, something that probably shouldn't be here right now, to be completely honest with you, with all of the nerfs. But this is pretty good right now. It's going to be Akali versus Lux and Victor. Akali should be good to go on this backline, to be completely honest with you. You really do need to shroud her in order to give your backline a little bit of a chance.
It depends on where Akali jumps to, right? Because if she kind of grieves herself and jumps into some Lux lasers, if the GA is popped very early and she gets chain CC'd by like Braum and Yumi and Janna, this fight still could go Darth Nub's way, and Darth Nub is sitting on a lot of gold to go level 9. So even if Darth Nub loses this round, it is not over. We get to put another unit in, make our board even stronger. We get to see it be a little bit indicative right now. Akali can jump to the wrong side, but gets the whole team shrouded though.
Okay, and they actually don't get into the back line, and that's exactly what you said couldn't happen. Is the Akali was supposed to not jump into the laser, but actually doesn't take any damage from either of them.
Yeah, she dodged
and kills the Lux before she falls to the 3rd laser. 3 lasers, 0 hit percentage.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go all in the boom references. That's like Westrace Akali, season 2 right here. I actually no lie, Westrace is who like really got me into League playing Akali, and Akali was my main for so long. Absolutely love Westrace. Shout out for that one, because Akali plays immaculate.
Westrace, one of the first like major Akali players, right?
Yeah, definitely the first, I think. And okay, Darth Nub is not going to level up here. In fact, is going to roll it all the way down on 8 to try to hit, maybe if we're really lucky, Lux 3, but hopefully just Victor 2. That's really one of the only things. Double J's? There's only 5 seconds left. Okay, Victor 2 is here.
2!
Tom Kench goes in as well. Tom Kench, maybe. Could put a Thorn in Roby's side. Let's see how it goes.
This could be the last fight, depending. It's in Akali, so probably not. We're probably going to find a couple other fights, but again, we did shroud the Lux. So the Akali's standing right in the way. No, but the Janna!
Oh, no.
Report the Janna!
That's the worst. It's might not even matter anyway, but that is going to be exact lethal. Darth Nub falls, and boop, your record of seeing 7 Syndicate never lose a lobby remains. Roby Von Kenob takes the dub.
Takes the dub. Syndicate 7, 100% win rate. Also report that Janna immediately. Saving the Akali. It was the perfect Luxel. It was the perfect Luxel. And then,
so well.
Yep. And then Janna literally knocked everyone out of it. Not just Akali, but a lot of the team in general. So that's a feels bad. Bad timing for sure.
Terrible timing. We do have our scores ready, so we get to see where everyone landed in the end of it. And of course, it is going to be A-Rad not falling in even the bottom 5 at any single game, top 3 every game. 33 points is going to be our victor. Roby Von Kenob in second with 28 points, and Darth Nub rounding out the top 3. I think, besides for A-Rat, the other 2 top 3 players of last week did not make it back. NYU and Sphinx, I think. They're both in the bottom 5 here, but what a day. I really enjoyed today.
Yeah, high scoring day, just in general. Look at double 10 for Roby, 10, 3, 6, 8, 8, 10, 8, 7. So basically, if you had 2 bottom 4s, you just didn't make it.
Yeah.
Because NYU maybe makes it to the next day with that score line in some other lobbies.
That's true.
But unfortunately for them, they played really well. I'm excited to see what they're going to continue to do, as they played very well and consistently throughout and played amazing last week. So they'll probably be back here soon, as Arat does take the dub, though. Even though we did just see the Syndicate 7 comp win, Arat playing really well throughout the entire day. Really consistent.
Yeah, definitely. And unfortunately, we are not going to have an interview. I think that's 2 weeks in a row, no interview. We're low rolling on the interviews.
Oh, I'm ready.
Oh, true.
Okay,
true.
I'm ready. Okay, hold on.
I completely forgot about this. Boop is going to cosplay as Arat. So, Arat, congratulations on your victory here. Mm-hmm. What was going through your mind, over the course of the games, because you played so well?
I was just trying to play flexibly and play what I wanted the whole time. A lot of the times, you come into these days and prepare, but I decided to come into today, have fun, and you saw the results.
Another time where, you kind of come in, have fun, and you dominate. The pressure's off. Just what do you think about set 6 in general, this new patch? I mean, we've only been on this set for a couple weeks now. This is the second patch. What's kind of your favorite stuff you got working on with there in terms of comps?
Yeah, as my name is Arat, I really like Yordles. So once Yordle 6 does become a viable comp at the late game, I will be one-tricking it the entire time. You heard it here first. If I don't one-trick it on stream, which is twitch.tv/Arat, you can find me there playing 6 Yordles the entire time. Oh, or playing like I did today, moderately flexibly and top 4ing, I believe, every lobby.
Beautiful stuff, Boop, aka Arat. Really enjoying this interview. Really enjoying the perspective, but not going to keep you too long. Congrats on your win. Going to give the floor for any shout-outs. Of course, you just heard your Twitch, but if you've got anyone to thank for things like that.
Again, that's twitch.tv/Arat if you want to catch my stream. I don't stream that much, but when I'm online, you can definitely catch me. I try to help out my my people, and my viewers as much as possible. I would also like to thank my support system around me, the other rats. I'm just a rat and a large group of rats. And thank you to the Rat King as well for helping me win out tonight. I'm going to spend that $100 on him. Yeah,
the Rat King, the whole rat colony, all the rats merging together to make this one rat powerful enough to win Fight Night Rising. Great interview, Boop. Great A-Rat impression. I love that. That was good. And we had a good overall day of games. There's crazy stuff with the Tactician's Crown opener, the 3 Prismatic game. Those are always wild ones, but I want to get your actual final thoughts, Boop, on everything that we just saw before we get on out of here.
I think the big thing for me was Urgot. I like playing Urgot. That was something that I was really curious about. Those numbers seemed to be a pretty big nerf, and it definitely took the consistency out of Chemtech away. We definitely saw it top 4, but I don't think we saw a Chemtech comp win. No, because Lux won the time that Chemtech got second. So yeah, AP I still think is pretty undervalued just in general in this set.
Yeah, we saw a Lux 3. I think that certainly won the lobby. I mean, even if we saw an Urgot 3, it might have won as well, but Urgot has definitely been kind of put in line this may be the TFT patch everyone's been looking for. Like mercenaries are not, so strong that they're just widely abused. We saw a little bit of mercenary, but it's feast or famine, like mercenary is supposed to be. We saw a lot of different compositions. None of them really dominate. But I think, set 6 is just continuing to be my favorite TFT set for good reason. The Riot team is really outdoing themselves, I think, on this. So just excited for next time, because I don't think we will be having a Fight Night next week, because it is going to be Thanksgiving for those of us in the US and everyone who celebrates that. We will be back, I believe, the week after. But it has been great. A lot of fun, Boop, to do this along with you. I know you said you weren't feeling well, but honestly couldn't even tell. You did it fantastic. We're going to give you some time to rest. So thank you, everybody, for watching. We will see you next time for more Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. Take care.